We begin in Bakersfield, California. Hello there.
Hello.
Hi.
All right. I'm 18 years old, and I live alone with my fiance. We live on our own. And we found out about 3 months ago that she was pregnant.
Oh, boy.
And, okay, there's no way that we can afford to have a baby.
How old is your girlfriend?
She's 18, too.
Okay, then you're both legal adults.
Yeah. And I live on my own. I'm a security officer, and she babysits. And there's just no way that we can afford to have a baby right now, so I'm really against it, but we decided to have an abortion. And we went to state funding, or I don't know how to put it, but they refused to help her.
A clinic of some kind.
Yeah, and because we don't even have the money to put forward for an abortion, they want $300 cash. And we just don't have it, so we're faced with the proposition of either having a baby we can't afford, we have to have a baby we can't afford because we can't afford not to have it either.
All right, there are the Department of Health in the state of California.
The Department of Health?
There's, in most states in this country, there are clinics that will provide abortions and other services of this kind to those people who are unable to pay for it. You also have to contact the Department of Welfare in your community and the local Department of Health.
That is what we did for welfare.
And?
From trying to get Medi-Cal, and they turned her down. Because her father is pretty well off, but she hasn't seen him for like 10 years. And she has a trust fund. When he passes away, she gets a large sum of money. And because of that, they turned her down for...
Well, she doesn't have access to that now.
No, I know. That's what we tell them, but...
How far along is your girlfriend in this pregnancy?
3 months.
3 months?
Yeah.
Wow.
I know. I don't know what to do, man.
I think at this point, and I don't want to play doctor here, but the second trimester, I'd give that a lot of serious thought before.
I know. I know, man.
Have you considered having your girlfriend carry the baby to term, and then you could make arrangements now. I know this. To have some couple who can't have a child adopt that child, they'll pay all of her medical expenses and then some.
Yeah, we've talked about that too, and I don't know.
You'd be making an incredible gift to some couple, to their health and their life and their happiness.
Yeah, we've talked about that, because there's so many people out there that can't have them, and then we're stuck with one that we...
Well, the point is you're not stuck. If you're already into the second trimester, it's personal opinion. And this is an area I've never gone to on a year before, so this is... But if you were close to me, let's put it that way, all right? I would seriously consider... my lord, if you pick up any classified section, you'll find dozens of ads of couples who are fully prepared to pay all of your expenses, take care of your girlfriend for the next 6 or 7 months, make certain the baby, she receives the proper prenatal care and so forth, all of these things. And then the child goes to them. And you've given life to a... Now, I would not follow the route that you've described. If you told me she was 3 weeks pregnant, it's a little different matter. I think it's time to consider the other alternative. Imagine what a precious gift you'd be giving somebody.
Yeah, I realize that. It's just so... I don't know. It's just so difficult to...
Would you rather kill it?
No. I mean...
That's what we're talking about.
I know. I've always been completely against it until, but it always happens to somebody else.
Well, I understand. Isn't that the truth? Why don't you just consider what I've described to you?
Oh, that's kind of what we're talking about everything, but, because that's what we're probably going to end up having to do because we can't get help from anywhere to terminate the pregnancy.
I understand that, but rather than terminating the pregnancy, why don't you let why don't you two just consider carrying it to term with the assistance of a couple who would be grateful the rest of their lives to you? There'd be no dollar expense on your part. I mean, I don't in any way, shape, form, or regard want to get involved in even considering some kind of recommendation where you're selling a baby. But there are certainly many, many couples that would be delighted to pick up all of her living expenses, all of her prenatal care, her postnatal care. Wouldn't that make abundant sense?
Yeah, it does. It makes a lot of sense. And, this is really weird because just last night, as a matter of fact, the only other person that knows about this is her sister who lives in another city about 500 miles from here.
Mm-hmm.
And she said that she knows of a lady that can't have children.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I just needed someone to tell this, to get off my chest.
I hear you, and it might be. Is your girlfriend tight with her sister?
Yes, very.
Well, it might be that might be the place for her to spend the next 6 months. That way, nobody knows she's pregnant. She probably doesn't show yet.
No, she doesn't show yet, but where her sister is where the rest of her family is also.
Oh.
Where we live in Bakersfield on our own.
I see. Well, that might present some problems.
Yeah,
the way look, why don't you I'll tell you what, we'll give you a number. You can call us back if you really want to talk about this again. Is that fair?
Oh, that sounds great.
All right, Dick is going to give you a number in a minute, but here's the thing. The pregnancy is proceeded. I know that legally you can have them into the second trimester, and I have some serious.
Yeah, so do I.
I have some serious problems about demand abortion, and we're not going to solve that here. We're just talking about you and the lady and the baby, right?
Yes, sir.
And given the circumstances that you've described, I think you would be well advised to consider allowing a couple that has been a little more fortunate, maybe a little older financially, but a lot less fortunate with regard to having a family. And the two of you get together and it would work in everybody's best interest. You give it some thought, and Dick will give you a number. You call back, and we'll talk about it again. Fair enough?
That sounds great. Thank you very much.
If I can help you on the way, kid, don't you feel free to call on me.
All right, thanks a lot.
Okay, buddy. I'm Bruce Williams, walking his shoes, huh? This is Talknet.
And I got hit in my car. And the situation is the fact that my car is a 1967 model.
Yeah.
And I'm really afraid that the damage is probably more than what the other guy's insurance agency is probably going to be willing to pay for.
The strong likelihood is you got more than a wrinkle, it's going to be more than it's worth. It's a 20-year-old car.
Right. And but what I'd really like to do is get the damage fixed because I like the car.
Well, unfortunately, you got a real problem.
Uh-huh.
Because, and I know this sticks right in your throat.
Uh-huh.
But unless the car can be proven to be worth more than the damages, all they got to do is pay for pay the worth of the car, and you're out from under. Because that's what your loss was. People will say, but it was only driven by, an elderly woman who didn't believe in going to church, so it was only Easter Sundays and that sort of thing, and it didn't have a blem on it. It's still whatever it is. It's worth so many bucks.
Uh-huh.
And that's it. Now, it's a 67 what? What kind of car?
It's a Ford Falcon.
Okay. I don't think that has any classic car value, does it?
Not that I'm really aware of, no.
Stang maybe, but not a Falcon. And a Stang 65 would be the one you're looking at.
Right.
How much damage to repair it?
Well, I really haven't got any estimates yet.
Give me a guesstimate.
I'm trying to get the insurance, other guy's insurance agency to.
Well, give me a guesstimate.
I would guess somewhere between $500 and $1,000 because he got like the rear fender, the bumper, part of the door, and like the pipe that goes to my gas tank. Also.
Very unlikely that that's going to be repaired.
I beg your pardon?
It's very highly unlikely that that's going to be repaired.
It will be repaired?
Will not be.
Oh.
Highly unlikely they're going to repair that.
Uh-huh.
They're going to offer you a few $100 and say that's it.
Okay, now what about maybe taking the person that hit me to small claims court?
Same thing. It's not it'd be the same insurance company, but the problem is you say you got to determine what your damage or your damages were.
Uh-huh.
And your damages were simply what that car was worth. And a 67 Falcon isn't worth more than a few $100, is it? Let's put it the other way. Suppose the accident hadn't happened, right?
Right.
And you're desperate for money. You had to sell that car. How much could you have sold it for today if the accident hadn't happened? About?
I don't know, maybe $500.
Well, that's your number. If you can get $500 and have you keep the carcass, and I'm sure they'll let you do that.
Uh-huh.
There'll be a fair settlement. Well, maybe they'll give you a sixth and let you keep the carcass. But you've answered the question.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Well, thank you very much for your time.
I appreciate your call.
Goodbye.
We go to Florida, Lakeland, Florida. Hello.
Hi, Bruce.
Hello.
Hi. Listen, I signed up for one of these agencies that I saw advertised in the paper, Overseas Employment.
Mm-hmm. How much did you put up front?
$400.
Well, did you kiss it goodbye?
I think I have.
Mm-hmm. Did they say in this thing refundable if you're not satisfied and so forth?
Well, no, it really doesn't. But the company has enrollment counselors here in Florida, but their main office is in California. Mm-hmm. And I signed up last January. I have not ever heard anything from any company as such.
Well, the likelihood is that you've been had.
Yeah. I'm just wondering, is there anything that I can do to get my $400 back?
Well, I don't know. I really don't know the answer to that. Most of these companies operate within the letter, if not the spirit of the law. Their ads, in my view, are very misleading. I mean, they make you believe that there's so many jobs overseas and we both know, well, you should know now, and I knew before, that's just not true.
Surely.
That without high skills, what kind of a job are you looking for?
Well, either a data processing, I'm experienced in that area, or I have teaching credentials.
You see, it used to be 25 years ago, those things would have worked.
Surely.
But today, most host nations only allow people to come in to work with skills that they can't duplicate among their own people. Mm-hmm. And they say instead of bringing a data processing operator, bring a teacher, a data processing teacher, and we'll give you a year to train our people.
Sure.
So our people keep the money here and the skills are learned here. And the same thing is true. Well, it might not be quite as true with teaching. If there are a significant number of Americans on a project and they have dependents and whatever, then it is not unusual to bring an American teacher along.
I see.
But it's difficult. The day of the American working all over the place is just not there anymore.
Yeah.
The other nations are saying, we don't need this, and they don't.
Well, it's certainly an attractive advertisement, isn't it?
Oh, you tell me. There were some ads running here a few years ago. Mm-hmm. Jobs in Alaska. Send so many dollars in, right?
Sure.
The governor of Alaska contacted the newspapers and said, please don't take these ads. We have an unemployment problem here.
Sure.
And yet they were still taking people's money.
Mm. Well, I think there is an element of fraud there.
Well, there may well
some way
be.
or other. Do you suppose I would contact the state attorney here?
Well, it certainly wouldn't hurt, would it?
In the city where their office is located?
It certainly wouldn't hurt.
And maybe the Better Business Bureau?
Well, I think that's largely a waste of time.
Okay.
In this instance.
How about calling them and telling them,
Well, you can enter the complaint so somebody else calls to inquire. At least there's a complaint registered.
With the Better Business?
Yes, but as far as recovering your own money, the first two things you suggested are probably more viable. In fact, they are more viable. But the bottom line of this whole thing is don't pay for services until they're rendered. When you see these things, find me a job, find me this, find me that, we'll get your invention out to a zillion people or whatever. The likelihood is all you're going to do is be a little bit poorer after the transaction. We go to Portland, Oregon. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce.
Hi.
How are you?
I am very well, thank you.
Good. Long-time listener, first-time caller. I have a question. Several years ago, I inherited a home. And at that time, I asked the attorney whether or not I would have a deed for this property.
Yeah.
And he said no, it would automatically be filed when the will went to probate.
Well, who handled the estate?
I was the executrix.
All right, well, then it was your responsibility.
It was my responsibility.
As the executrix. You were wearing two hats. You were an heir and the executrix.
Right.
Well, it was your responsibility to see that the proper transfers were taken at the time.
Okay, I didn't. So what do I do now?
Well, get it cured.
How?
That would be a matter for your attorney. Or a attorney now. Now, I'm not going to tell you you couldn't walk it through yourself, but I think that's foolishness.
I see.
He or she can do it so much quicker and cleaner.
I see. So I'll go to an attorney and explain it to them.
Explain what you didn't do. That's right.
Okay, fine. Enjoy your program so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Lady points up an interesting thing, though, this dual role. You see, you cannot be a witness I'm sure in all jurisdictions to a will and be an heir. but you most certainly can be an heir and be an executor, executrix, or personal administrator. But in that case, you kind of have a dual responsibility. Your responsibility is not only to the other heirs, if there are any, but your responsibility, well, you see, your responsibility is to carry out the wishes of the decedent. And if you are an heir, part of that responsibility is to see that you get those things, properties, chattels, dollars that you're entitled to. You're kind of serving yourself. And it's not a unique situation, but one that's out of the ordinary, where you have a responsibility, a legal responsibility, to take care of your own best interests. Curious, huh? I'm Bruce Williams.
Nothing about automobile insurance. I'm property.
All right.
I listen to your program all the time and admire the advice you give people and all that, but you leave out a very pertinent comment on questions about insurance.
All right. Well, why don't you fill in that gap?
Okay. It is the same advice, basically, as you give on real estate transactions when you say, always have an attorney present, take care of it.
Mm-hmm.
When you have something dealing with insurance, a claim or otherwise a question, always call your agent. Even if it's a minor detail, always let them know.
Oh, I've said that hundreds of times. That here, trust me, I can get you tapes where I say notify your agent for information only, because most policies have a time limit. And if something comes up that you can't handle yourself but you don't anticipate, as long as you've notified the agent, the company's on the hook.
Well,
and I've said that hundreds of times.
This may be, but I listened. For instance, the other night I heard the gentleman had a tree belonging to the city that a branch blew off and damaged one of his trees. Now, in the normal course of events, there's no coverage for trees under a windstorm.
Okay, also be.
However, that branch could well be considered a falling object. There's probably no coverage anyway.
Yeah.
But go one step further. The adjuster will probably tell the man, find out what it would cost to replace the tree and turn it in to your tax man as an uninsured casualty loss, which doesn't apply too much anymore.
It surely doesn't. I think it's over 10% of your adjusted gross income.
Right. There's a lot of things in there. I know nothing about it other than I tell people to do this.
That used to be, up until 2 or 3 years ago, that was good advice.
Right. But there are other things involved. For instance, most policies don't cover damage done by domestic animals owned by the insured. But one file that I know of, the people went on vacation for 3 or 4 or 5 days, came home, their dog had wrecked the interior of their house because kids had opened the door, let the dog in, and then closed the door. Then it was not damage from a domestic animal. It was vandalism. You see what I'm driving at?
I hear what you're saying.
Always. Even on automobiles, for instance, which I know very little about, you get a gravel ding in the windshield.
Yeah.
No big thing.
No.
Nobody normally would not call their agent and tell them about it. But if they turn the defrosters on and the windshield cracks, then they're going to turn it into their agent, and quite possibly the adjuster is going to say, why did you not tell us about this?
Well, what you're telling me is that if there's a covered loss, you should notify your broker or your agent, and you and I have absolutely nothing to quarrel about that. And I do say that kind of regularly. It may have slipped past you, but it certainly doesn't help to reinforce it, and I thank you very much for that, my friend. I'm Bruce Williams. Stick around for more. We got Talknet. There's a place called Ruffsdale?
Yes, and where's a place called Ruffsdale?
Ruffsdale. Where is Ruffsdale, PA?
It's about 12 miles from Greensburg. And Greensburg is
that nails it right down.
Greensburg is about 32 miles east of Pittsburgh.
All right, I got the general.
Now you got it.
Now I got you.
Okay. First, there was an ad run in our local paper, and to be an owner-partner of a local shopping complex with a guaranteed return on your investment, plus a bonus for an early investor, $2,500 minimum. Our representative will
What's a limited partnership of some kind?
It's a partnership in a...
It's a limited partnership.
I would say so, yes.
Well, this is like being pregnant.
Yeah.
You are or you're not.
Yeah.
Is this a limited partnership?
Well, it says
Maybe you don't know.
Owner partner of a local shopping complex.
Yeah.
And I was just wondering if the representative should call, what questions should you ask?
If you got to ask me that, you shouldn't call them.
Well.
I mean that sincerely. I don't know. First of all, I have no idea what you're getting into or you're thinking about. It sounds to me like a limited partnership.
Mm-hmm.
But if and I don't mean this in any way unkindly, but you don't want to play basketball in the other guy's court.
Mm-hmm. I see.
And if you have to ask a question that is, look, just for your own information, go ahead, talk to him.
Mm-hmm.
But promise me that you'll sign nothing.
That's right.
Now, if there's if he or she has
I was thinking $2,500, that would be a very small piece of the action anyway.
Well, that may or may not. That says minimum. I mean, I don't know what the increments are.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The point is, you listen to him,
Mm-hmm.
and then digest the stuff, and then you might want to give me a call or someone else, and we can talk about it, because I have no notion what they're up to.
Mm-hmm.
But it does. That's not true. I don't know. I have no idea of the specifics. But it sounds like a limited partnership,
Mm-hmm.
which is not necessarily bad, but some of them can be.
Mm-hmm.
Let me leave you with this: the linchpin of any limited partnership is the general partner.
Mm-hmm.
His or her or corporate credentials, whatever, we don't know who they are. That's because if they're good, maybe you got a shot. If they're bad or they're crooked, you got no shot. But by and large, if you're that removed from this kind of a transaction, you probably best off to stay removed from it. I do wish you well.
Okay, thank you, Bruce.
Take care. Amherst, New York. Hello.
Bruce Williams, you are the best thing that's happened to radio in the last 20 years.
Well, you're very, very kind, and I love it. Say it again.
I mean it.
What's on your mind?
Well, something has come up, and I'd like to run it by you and see what your opinion is.
All right.
I own a home, and I have about a $25,000 mortgage on it.
What's it worth?
Pardon me?
What's it worth?
I would say in the 50s now.
Okay, so you got about 50% equity for...
Just about, yes.
All right.
I have about 21 years and 8 months left is the remaining term on the mortgage.
All right.
And this past week, the bank sent a notice to me offering what they call a mortgage alternative. What it does is it kind of gets them off the hook, hoping that they can speed up my repayment of the mortgage.
What is the interest rate you're currently paying?
8.5.
That's over the average rate of return right now.
Right, which it's kind of funny that they sent us. But anyway, in about 8 years, I'm a teacher, and in about 8 years I'm planning to retire. And so this makes this kind of nice. I'm looking at it, and I need your opinion. One of the options would be to make a one-time payment of $2,200 to reduce the loan balance, or I could increase my monthly mortgage payment by $65.
Why do you want to do either of those things?
Well, I'm thinking, it would be nice not to have to pay mortgage payments in 10 years when I'm retired,
You and I, we have nothing to quarrel there about.
Mm-hmm.
But, and this may be desirable, it may or may not be, but do you know what a compensating balance is?
No.
All right.
Does it have to do with the break I get on taxes?
Well, no. I'm going to try to make it very simple.
Okay.
You owe me $1.
Mm-hmm.
You say I'm going to pay you off 50 cents. Mm-hmm. If you give me the 50 cents, you only owe 50 cents, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
If you took the 50 cents and put it in a special bank account to earn more interest than you're paying me,
mm-hmm.
we could use that as a compensating balance against the indebtedness.
Mm-hmm.
So you really, if it's earmarked, you really owe still only 50 cents.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, on paper you owe $1, but you got a half a buck over here to deduct, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you see the weakness in what you're saying to me is that it presupposes that you're going to take, if you don't enter into some kind of a prepayment schedule, that you're going to take this money and immediately either take it out to Las Vegas or Atlantic City or do something else wild and trashy.
I may.
Well, that's all right. Now, wait a minute. You make a very good point, though. If that's true, then maybe it's a good idea for you to pay off early. But if it's not true, if you would not throw the money away, if you would invest it elsewhere, then we have to explore all sorts of things. But if you're telling me in what I said in jest is factual, that you're kind of a spendthrift and whatever, then I would get into the accelerated payment.
Well, the thing is, I don't feel that I'm going to have an awful lot of extra money when I do retire.
But you're missing the whole point. Doesn't matter. Nothing is going to change. Let's make an assumption, all right?
All right.
You owe $100.
Mm-hmm.
At the end, if you don't change anything, if you don't, you'll owe $50 come retirement time.
Mm-hmm.
If you pay it off, you'll owe nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to come up with another $10, right?
Yes.
Well, if you take the $10 and not pay off the mortgage, but you put it somewhere else, your position hasn't changed at all, has it?
No.
Well, that's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah.
But the missing part of the equation is, would you make religious
I wouldn't.
savings, or would you find something else to do?
Sure, I would.
Well, in that case, go ahead and get involved in accelerated payoff.
But another thing to consider, too, would be the fact that this would practically wipe out any possibility of itemizing on my income tax.
Well, this is another consideration, which is not a throwaway.
Right.
Frankly, I don't think it's going to make a big difference to you.
You don't think so?
No, ma'am. Not with what you described, a $25,000 mortgage. At maxed out, we're talking in interest $600, $1,200, $1,500 a year. Right at this point. No, is that right? No. Excuse me. Let me get away with something there. You said 8.5%.
Yes.
That would be 17 and oh my goodness gracious, 9, 20, 21.5, $2,200.
Yes, just about. Yes.
In interest a year. So it's not a huge deduction that you're losing.
Right.
So but you see, the bigger part of the equation is
then too that would wipe out the state and local tax that I can deduct too.
Yeah, but the point being that you told me, see, the linchpin of this conversation is that you told me you don't have the discipline to put the money elsewhere.
Right, I wouldn't.
Then given that, start paying the principal down as quick as you can.
Okay.
I wish you well, dear.
Thanks a lot.
It's strength of character to recognize the fact that you don't have that discipline. That in itself says a lot about you. I do wish you well.
Bye-bye.
I'm Bruce Williams. Stick around for more. You got Talknet. Dayton, Ohio. Hello there.
Bruce?
Hello.
I think you're fantastic.
Well, aren't you sweet?
You turned my life around.
How'd that happen?
Well, I have to listen to you regardless of what time you come on, and sometimes I have to listen to you late at night, and then I have to sleep the next day.
Uh-huh.
But I need some information. If a person has no debts at all, and they marry someone who has a lot of debts, are they then liable for the other person's debts?
Well, if you don't you're asking a legal question. I want to be very careful with that. But if you go in clearly with your assets separate and keep them separate from the other person, and probably also enter into a prenuptial agreement.
Oh, I see.
And this is a very definitely a question that you want to run past your attorney. If you start combining assets, then they can be attached.
Oh, I see.
But as long as it's very clear beforehand, these were assets that you had prior to this union, and they are remaining in your name, care, custody, and control. Then I think you probably have a pretty good shot.
And you have to have all that in writing.
Oh, absolutely. And I think you're going to find that maybe the prenuptial agreement is going to be an integral part of this whole thing. But by all means, see a lawyer. I take it you're thinking about getting married.
Yeah.
And your intended
has a whole bunch of debts.
How many? How bad? To what extent?
Oh, it'd be way over 20,000.
What's he have in the way of assets?
Practically nothing. Not even a car paid for.
What does he do for a living?
Huh?
What does he do for a living?
Oh, just an ordinary office job.
How old?
See, it'd be about 75.
He's 75? You're going to talk to your attorney. It might be. Might well be that before you tie the knot, it might be that he's a candidate for bankruptcy.
Oh, I see.
Have him discharged before you guys. But I really think that your best, like the only legitimate course of action, is to find yourself a competent, mature attorney and to certainly protect you because you don't want to be raided.
No, I don't.
No.
No.
And it may well be that, and I'm not real enthusiastic about bankruptcy. Here's a guy who's never going to dig his way out, not at 75 years old.
Yeah, right.
And by golly, we don't want him into your pockets. Good luck, sweetheart. And maybe you have to wait a little while to get married. West Milton, Ohio, we've got about a minute to share together.
Hello?
Hello there. We've got about 1 minute. What's on your mind?
Oh, gosh, I've lost $5,000.
You did? How'd you do that?
We were having windows installed, and they never put the windows in.
Period?
Serious.
I mean, period. They just didn't put them in?
No, they're gone. We called last Monday. This was in September. We gave them $5,000.
In cash?
From the bank.
Yeah, all right. And the company's just history? They're out of business?
Their telephone is unhooked as of Monday.
Did they go broke, or are they just running away?
Well, see, one of the partners ran away with the money.
Yeah.
The other partner stayed to try to get everything organized, and now he's gone.
Are you talking to the district attorney?
I just called him today.
All right. Because, I mean, this is obvious fraud.
Yeah, and I just wondered if we were going to get our money back.
I doubt it. You may get a portion, you may get nothing. But what you want to do is you want to get down there, and if the district attorney will honor it, you want to swear a warrant for these people.
Okay.
For their arrest.
Okay.
I mean, see, if they just had a bad business and things didn't go well and so forth, you're just another what they call unsecured creditor. You're just in line with the rest of the troops.
Uh-huh.
But if that's not the case, and I don't know that, what you must do to protect your interest is to go after them not only civilly but criminally and get the assets tied up, and that's what the district attorney's office can do for you. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. You waited a little longer than you should have, and you've been very patient. You're probably a very nice person. But when you give somebody that kind of money, they don't deliver, you got to lean on them and lean on them in a hurry, because generally what's happening is they're in trouble and they're stalling with your dough. So get on it, my dear. Here we go again, paying in advance. Very bad practice in most cases. Hey, thanks so much for the time. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Williams, welcome, my friends. Welcome to my world. Welcome to Talknet. I'm so glad you dropped by. I hope I can persuade you to stick around. We'll cut up a couple of jackpots. We'll talk a little bit about you, your life, your hopes, your ambitions, and all the things that make you that very special, one-of-a-kind person that you are. Now, to get this ship out of the channel, I'm going to sit down here and get these calls all lined up. I got Dick Brennan in there on the telephone, and I got Mr. Michael Friedman on the board. And most of all, I got you. And I'm so pleased you're part of this. I'm Bruce Williams. Welcome to Talknet. Call you when you get back around.
One other little ironic.
Matter of fact, better yet, we're going to call you during the convention.
Fine.
And you can be our reporter on the scene in Washington, D.C.
I would love it. There's one little other thing that's come up since all this has happened.
Yeah.
And that is, oh, God, now it's just slipped my mind again. Something you mentioned in it. Oh, gosh. What was it?
I don't know.
It was something pretty important.
Well, we're going to have lots of time to talk about this. Cause
fine.
You're going to be a reporter on the scene.
Oh, yes, I know what it was.
Oh, okay. What
I was supposed to be staying at the Washington Hilton.
Yeah.
That's where the convention's being held.
Right.
Now, when I booked the Washington Hilton for my reservation, I was told that the Washington Hilton was booked out and that they had an overflow hotel available for the convention at the same rate.
At the same rate.
Was the DuPont Plaza.
Well, that's a good hotel.
Well, anyway, I've booked into the DuPont Plaza, so if you want to contact me...
No, tell us that.
Oh, sorry.
Let Sheila will discuss that with you. Hold on now. Girl, this has been going on for... Maybe she can get more fun. Maybe she'd like to leave her phone number. Anyway, we're going to report back on this Poets Convention Unfortunately, the lady spent a lot of money uselessly, but that's another look. We made bigger mistakes. If nothing else, she'll be in a wonderful city. She can go out and do the Smithsonian, see all of the other attractions that Washington has to offer. And we'll hear about all the dozens, hundreds, thousands of poets that show up to get their award. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Charlotte, North Carolina, it's your turn. Hello there. Welcome to Talknet.
Hello.
Hi. Yes, sir.
I like your show. We listen to it every night.
Well, thank you, ma'am. My goodness gracious, I apologize. Thank you, sir.
I have a question about luggage checked on an airline for an international flight, and I'm wondering some advice on how to go after a claim here.
Well, first of all, you realize that and I don't know how, I'm not sure how this is coming down, but international flights are covered by the Warsaw Convention, right?
Right.
And the liability of the airline is very, very seriously limited by that. What'd you lose?
Camcorder.
You own your own home?
Yes. I don't own my home, but I do have homeowners.
In that case, claim against the homeowners and forget it.
Just that simple.
That's simple.
Well, you could advise your listeners that Warsaw Convention limits liability for the airlines to $9.07 a pound.
Yeah.
And camera equipment is uninsurable.
Also, I think that's true domestically too.
Well, there's different laws domestically, I believe.
I don't think you can. No, I don't think that you can collect with cameras. Check unless you you pay an extra premium.
Okay. Well, the folks that go to Europe, be sure and carry on your cameras.
Well, I'm not sure you're going to be allowed to do that either, are you?
No, it was the reason we came from Zurich back to the United States, and they didn't allow us to carry on the camcorder.
Exactly so, because you know why, don't you?
Security.
That's right. They could be a bomb.
Right. Well,
the best advice is leave that stupid stuff home.
Well, what about your videos?
Leave them home. Just get it in your eye. Remember what you saw. I mean that sincerely. Maybe I have a perverted point of view, okay? Prejudice maybe is a better term, all right?
Right.
Seems to me that so many people are going to see the whole doggone trip through a viewfinder, local, where they can take a camera, and they don't see anything. All they see is what they're trying to photograph instead of sitting there and saying, I'm at the Eiffel Tower, for example. Here's a piece of magnificent architecture, just reached its 100th birthday, and you look at, no, they're looking through this little thing with a viewfinder and trying to get the range and so on and so forth. To my mind, a colossal, total waste of time. And who wants to see those things anyway?
Oh, who wants to see them? Well,
nobody.
Great.
Nobody. That's like home movies.
Well, some of them are pretty good.
Well, that's a matter of opinion.
Well,
I'm just curious. Seriously, how old are you?
37.
All right. Do you have children?
No.
Okay. Because I was wondering who in the world would want to see home movies of a week-old baby, beside the parents, maybe.
Well, that baby, when that baby is 20 years old, would probably enjoy it.
You really think so?
I think so.
God, I don't want to look at my baby pictures. I have no interest.
Well, how about
or my children's, for that matter.
How about a year-old baby taking his first steps on video?
Have no interest in me, whatever, and I have 5 kids.
Classic.
I remember my kids taking those steps. I have no desire, whatever, I'm serious, to see them on film. None whatsoever.
Ask your kids if they'd want to see them.
I don't think they would. Maybe so. Maybe for laughs.
Okay. Well, I think
we're just a crazy nation of. You ever see tourists with 15 pieces of equipment around their neck? And I was on a riverboat cruise. I mentioned Alaska 2 days ago. Mm-hmm. As we speak, precisely 2 days ago now, right?
Right.
And here are all these people with these stupid camcorders, and they're, I get to take a picture. They didn't see a damn thing. They were so busy trying to line up on the guy gutting the salmon. I don't believe they ever saw that. Well, I remember. You're laughing, but I could tell you what he did. And how he did it, and because I was watching what he was doing, rather than worrying about the light and the distances involved and so on and so forth. Now, you could make the case, but some people won't be there and so on and so forth.
Yeah, well, I can advise people who buy a camcorder, get a compact, not a full-size.
Well, that's another matter. Get something that's pint-size. But your point is well taken about the Warsaw Convention.
Right.
But you can buy insurance.
Well, camera equipment is uninsurable.
That's not true. You can buy insurance from your local insurance broker.
Oh, that type.
Before you leave, you can insure whatever you choose to insure,
right.
And then you got a much better shot at collecting because you got a local guy to go talk to.
Right. The airlines will insure baggage, but they won't insure camera
you can see why. It's a target.
Well,
it's real easy to steal. And it's really easy, more important to sell once it's been stolen.
Right.
So that if you have that kind of stuff, you're far better advised to go to your local insurance agent. If it's not covered, and some stuff would not be covered to your homeowners either because of the numbers involved, to get what's called an all-risk floater.
Right. Well, this will be covered on our homeowners, but I hated to file a claim against that.
Why is that? That's what you carry the insurance for.
Well, I look at insurance as being insurance against catastrophic loss and not something that you use for every day.
Well, I share your point of view, but I mean, how much catastrophic loss can you have on objects away from home?
But on cameras away from home?
Well, what I'm saying is, you said you look at that insurance as I do, basically against catastrophic loss.
Right.
But how much you couldn't have a catastrophic loss in terms of cameras away from home, unless you're crazier than I think you are. I mean, walking around with 30 cameras around you.
Well, right. It's just that I would like to save my insurance claims for things that are a little bit more important than something that's worth $800 or $900.
You and I would disagree on that. I think that you're paying a premium for coverage, and that coverage is included in that premium when it was calculated.
Well, don't worry. I'll follow your advice.
If it was $50, I'd agree with you, because you don't want the frequency. But $800 or $900, I think you have every right to make the claim.
Well,
every right in the world.
I'll certainly follow your advice. I won't beat my head against the wall with the airline.
Not much point in doing that. And the other part of the advice is, rather than photographing the rose,
smell it.
Smell exactly so.
Okay. I'll follow that one, too.
I wish you well, my friend.
Thank you.
I'm Bruce Williams. Agree or disagree, I'm delighted you dropped by. This is Talknet. Mason, Michigan, thank you so much for your patience. What's on your mind?
Hi, Bruce. Hope you're well.
I am very well, thank you.
That trip to Alaska, I can imagine it would set pretty good with anybody.
Oh, it was a lot I mean, the flying was a difficult proposition. It really was. But, even there you meet some really nice people along the way. I was in Chicago, and I had a heck of a long layover. I was with United Airlines. They have that brand-new terminal at O'Hare. And, this is a tragedy in itself. At most terminals, you have lockers, you can check your bags. The FAA, when you build a new terminal, won't let you put any lockers in because of the scuzzball, dirtbag terrorists.
Afraid of putting bombs.
They're afraid of putting. And it's terrible when you have to be held hostage to that kind of a situation. But I was very fortunate. I talked to one of the ladies who worked for United. Her name was Sally Wetter, I believe. Sally at O'Hare, and I said, look, I got to lug this. My bag is heavy. I do everything in a carry-on, right?
Right.
And she said, there ought to be some way you could check things, and we can't have lockers. Hey, I'll tell you what I'll do. I've got my own place where I keep my stuff. But you want to leave your bag there? Man, she saved me about 14 hernias, But she was such a gracious lady. Well, I had a little problem with reservations. I talked to another gal with United in all places Los Angeles. And I'm in Alaska. Dawn Hall was her name. She went out of her way, like 15 minutes on the phone, trying to fit me in because I had to cancel a flight and get another one. Now, how do you? There's the guy named Doug Cousinall from Fairbanks. He's the head of United up in Fairbanks. Couldn't have been more gracious to me. You see, and I pick on companies when they do something wrong, right? Mm-hmm. So I think it's important that I compliment them when they do things right. Now, here's an airline with 3 people. Didn't know me from Adams off Ox, right? I mean, the other guy struggled along in a huge terminal in Chicago, and Sally was so nice to me. And I called this lady from Alaska in Los Angeles. Now, she could have said, look, sorry, pal, you don't get on a plane. That's the end of that. No, she finessed and fooled around and got me on the aircraft. The same thing with Doug. So it's really nice to run to people who take pride in their work. I guess that's what it's all about.
It makes the vacation a lot more enjoyable.
Well, this was no vacation. Vacation, no, but I get paid for this. Isn't that amazing?
Oh.
Isn't that amazing? But any event, everyone, you're only coming back, though, with the weather, and how people are griping. Well, I got a business meeting. I got to get there on time. There's so much thunder activity that, anybody who's intelligent, including all flying animals, are sitting there watching this stuff, and these people are screaming, you got to get me there on time. Go ahead. Get them on time, but not with me in the airplane. Thank you very much.
You've been through that before.
Oh, I have played that room. You're absolutely right.
Someday you have to tell us about that.
What's on your mind on someday?
I have a question about how long it is necessary to keep documents around the house.
Depends on what kind of document.
Well, cancel checks, check stubs, receipts.
Same story. Back up. Depends on. Let's separate things off, okay?
Okay.
You own your own home?
Yes.
You'll have to keep documents with regard to the purchase of that home, capital improvements and that sort of thing, until such time as you sell it, whether it's 30 or 40 years from now.
Right.
Because they're pertinent to the taxes. For example, if you put a new dormer on, for the sake of discussion, all right?
Okay.
That's a capital improvement.
Right.
The cost of that is deductible against the gain when you sell a house, even though that's, retirement time, assuming that you go over the one-time limit, so on and so forth, right? So that record has to be kept forever until you sell a house. On the other side of that, your ordinary canceled checks, your ordinary bills and that sort of thing, certainly 7 years is more than sufficient. Business, things that would be carried forward on a tax return at some future date, you have to hang on to those for a longer period of time. But on balance, the average, department store bills, the credit card things, and that kind of stuff, 6-7 years adequate.
Okay, so how about statements that you get every month? If I get a statement and I check everything out, it looks good, can I throw away the last one?
I would not, no.
You would not? I
would not, because you may make a mistake, get a paper trail there. Certainly, I'd hang on to those for a year.
Okay. All right.
For a business, I'd hang on to for 6 years.
Same with utility bills?
Utility bills I'd chuck, frankly.
Okay.
I don't see a reason to keep them.
Yeah, they show you paid last month's bill.
Exactly. Bank statements are, and you have the checks to back that up. I assume that you pay by check.
Right.
You have the checks to back that up. But things that are related to real estate and certain business transactions have a much longer shelf life.
Okay.
Hey, I have a theory, but everybody's worried we're going to get nuked, right? Not me. I think we're going to smother under copy 36. I really believe that. We're going to die under a pile of records.
It sure seems to be building up that way if you've been in the county courthouse lately.
Boy, isn't that the truth?
Yeah.
And 99% of that stuff could have been 86 the day it was written. I wish you well, my friend.
Thank you, Bruce.
Copy B on Talknet. Cliff Country, Arlington, Texas, your turn.
Hi, Bruce.
Hello.
I spoke with you about a month ago. We had received in the mail an offer from a cruise company, and it was a postcard, and it was one of the trips from Florida to the Bahamas.
Yeah, the cruise, and you get a cheapy place in the Bahamas for a week and so on and so. I think your wife answered that, if memory serves me.
Yes, sir. And she had put it on a major credit card, and you had said, well, go ahead and call them, because I wrote them, and they responded by saying they wanted me to phone them. And I phoned them, and I called you back that next night and told you that their response was, well, there's no hope.
We would say we're talking about the cruise company.
Correct.
They were the ones who said there's no hope.
Right. They said there's no hope. They said it's non-refundable.
All right.
And what I did then...
What did I say then?
You said, well, you didn't know whether I could get out of it or not, but just be persistent.
Did I suggest that you call the credit card folks?
Yes, sir.
And, of course, what happened?
Well, the credit card people said that we didn't notify them quick enough. So then what I did is I wrote the Federal Trade Commission, and I also wrote the U.S. Postal Inspector, and requested complaint forms, and I filled out the complaints, and then I wrote the cruise line back and carboned them on the copies of the complaint forms and the letters that I wrote to the two agencies. And they responded again with, well, this is a copy of the tape and from your wife's conversation, and it's non-refundable. So I wrote again, and I said, I won't accept that. I want a refund. And believe it or not, last week they sent us a letter stating that they'll give us a refund.
Did you get a check yet?
I haven't gotten a check. It's going to be credited.
It should be a credit to your credit card account.
Right. I've gotten written confirmation for the first time from them that they'll really make a decision on it. So
persistence pays, isn't it, baby?
I'll tell you what. I have to really thank you. You mentioned several months back that it was possible to contest a credit card charge.
Yes.
I didn't believe that. I didn't realize it till that point. And I like to write the letters, so it was a challenge.
I'm glad it worked out, and maybe your inspiration is...
Your advice was real good, and I do appreciate it a whole lot.
Listen, Jessica, you did it all by yourself. I had nothing to do with it, but I thank you very much.
Well, anybody that has that problem, the Federal Trade Commission, they jumped.
Very well. Because if you yank their ticket, they got a real problem. Congratulations, El Paso KTSM Carl Weiler for 60 years of service to the El Paso area. That is some kind of a record. Not too many people going to beat that one. Certainly not Bill or I. Hey, ain't easy. Give it your very best shot. You try and do what's right. I'm Bruce Williams. Keep in touch. At least 10% on your money today?
I'll give that to you.
Okay, it's $1,700. That's $100 and some odd dollars a day. I don't know what it'd be 14 into they're $120 a day or something like that, right?
Right. Well, they're a little more than that.
What's that?
150 a day.
I'm telling you what you're spending. 100.
Oh, okay.
In addition to that, what is your annual charges?
$280 plus property tax.
A month or a week?
A year. Oh, a month.
Is it a week?
Excuse me, it's a week.
So you got to pay. It's $600 round numbers.
Right.
So now we get $1,700, $1,800, $2,300 for 2 weeks. Now up to $1,150 a week. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Anytime you want to rent something in that area, come and see me. I'll get you something for $1,100 a week, and you keep the cash.
What about including airfare and all the other benefits?
Not to use your place. They're not going to fly you down to use your place.
Oh no! You see, if I give them back their week, they'll fly me to Hawaii, or they'll fly me to Hong Kong, or they'll fly me.
In addition to, you mean? Well, see, for example, Marriott has had a very good condominium concept where investors bought hotel rooms. I have no quarrel with that. No quarrel with that at all. All right.
Mm-hmm.
But when you start getting paid off of points, and furthermore, how's the IRS treat this income? Don't tell me it's points and it's free. No way.
Well, as long as it's property that I own.
Yeah.
Now, for instance,
it's all those trips are all taxable.
Well, not if I'm giving it back because I own the property. They are taxable if I earn the points by staying in their hotel over the course of a year and gain those points.
If you give it back, as you put it, you are trading the room for points. And if you think the IRS is going to let you go with not paying taxes, I got a big bridge in New York I want to discuss with you. That's clearly a barter situation.
Yeah.
And barter is fully taxable. It's full retail.
Okay. May I read you what I would get if for that 23 or that $1,700 a week?
It's $2,300, not $17.
Okay. For that, the points that I would get for the first year, or for every year, I could have free 9 days or 8 nights of my choice of over 170 hotels or resorts.
All right, now wait a while. What is that worth? Maybe. All right, that's 21 days, right? If you average $100 and they don't average $100, anything like it, that's $2,100 for 24. Now there's a big bargain. What else? That's no bargain at all. Take a look at today's Wall Street Journal and see what hold it. Take a look at today's Wall Street Journal and see what the average. They had a list is in today's second section of what the average hotel room costs across the country.
Okay.
New York is the most expensive at $120.
Okay, that alone wouldn't be worth it.
That would be a dead deal for you.
But 2 round-trip coach tickets anywhere in the system, which means anywhere that Continental, TWA, or
with restrictions like crazy. With restrictions like crazy. Hey, man, I've got more frequent flyer miles than anybody you've ever met.
Okay.
All right.
Well, this company happens to cater most of these airlines, so...
I know the company. If they have the office, they have offices in this building. And I got a ton of tickets that said, if you recall, they had well, I'm not going to argue the point. I mean, you're frustrated.
No, I'm really asking. I really am, Bruce. The point is that I wouldn't have bothered wasted your time or my time.
We had a couple, about a year ago, the same company issued a ton of free hotel passes, right? They couldn't honor them. They couldn't honor them. So too many people turned them in. You couldn't get a room. You had the coupon. As a matter of fact, I made so much noise on this show that they extended them for 6 months. But they couldn't honor them. And I'm not saying they're acting in bad faith. They're a fine company. But it's just like when you watch these airlines, they advertise like crazy on television, right?
Right.
And you can go anywhere in the world for $1.50.
Yeah,
subject to certain restrictions. And they flash on the restrictions on there that Evelyn Wood on her best day couldn't have read the first line. and you got to go on Meridian Day. You have to have 2 orangutans. You know, it goes on and on.
Yeah.
And if you think those restrictions aren't going to apply here, you're crazy, because they're going to apply. It is a lousy deal. How many ways to tell you? Buy your airplane tickets. Buy your keep your $17,000 in your pocket.
All right.
And if you want to buy a timeshare, go buy one. But for pity's, hey, you could spend, I don't know what they would charge you for 1 minute on the program here, just for one shotter. $2,000 maybe?
Maybe.
2,500 something, 25, somebody said. You went on here and said, I want to buy a timeshare. And you picked the place, all right?
Mm-hmm.
Just that one commercial, if that wouldn't get you 50 to 100 offers to buy this stuff on 15 to 20 cents a dollar, I almost willing to give you your money back. Because that's how dead an issue it is in this country right now. There's virtually no secondary market. Now, that's a fact. Now, that may change 5 years from now. I hope it does. And I hope the companies you're discussing bring some legitimacy to this enterprise and clean its act up.
Well,
but it's not clean now. It is not an investment. Why do you think a couple of states are trying to ban them completely?
Oh, are they?
Yeah, you got it.
Well, by the way, I just sold, actually, we bought a timeshare in Sun Valley.
Yep.
From inside a hotel.
Yep.
And the man who owned it used to own Horizon Airlines. We just got a check back in the mail for the entire amount. He had a clause in there saying he could get out of the thing in the first 18 months.
Mm-hmm.
It ended up being too sweet a deal for the people who were in it,
Could
actually.
be. Okay.
And we got our money back.
Look, a man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still.
No.
I just think it's my contention that timeshares are an idea who's never developed except for the promoters. Over the course of the industry, over 40% of the cost of a timeshare is sales load.
Uh-huh.
Now, there's no way in the world that you can come out ahead as a customer in a deal like that.
Well, okay.
Listen, the companies that you've described are good companies. They may inject something into this industry eventually that makes it a good deal. But until you can persuade me that you got a good shot at getting your money out 2 years from now, in the event that it doesn't work out for you, I'm not interested.
Well, that's where my question is. Wouldn't by getting, even if I top-loaded the first 4 years and got $12,000 of vacations out of it, wouldn't that be worth it?
Not in my opinion, because you spent in at least $10,000 by your own numbers.
Yeah.
So you got a $2,000 edge in 4 years, maybe. Maybe.
I appreciate your time.
They give you better odds in Atlantic City and Las Vegas. I wish you well, kid.
Thanks a lot.
I'm Bruce Williams. Stick around. Just my opinion, nothing more. This is Talknet. You know, I guess I'm cynical. I belong to the frequent flyer programs, all of them. And they're good. You can't afford to ignore them. I have no quarrel with that. And these different programs and whatever. But if you think it's as simple as the players would like you to believe in many cases, I mean, you're just in for a rude shock. It's true, these airlines go all over the place, but you just try and redeem your points to go out of the country. Sure, you can go if you can make it a resident. But one airline I know of, because I fly them regularly, they want at least 6 months, sometimes much as a year in advance to go to some of the more esoteric places. If you make your plans in advance that far, God bless you, most of us cannot. I was thinking about going to Tokyo. And I finally I had to work my vacation around them. There was only 1 day I could go. My daughter was going to Taipei. And they said, oh, yeah, you got the only problem is booked up solid for the next 4 months. Now, so it's not all beer and Skittles. It really isn't. I mean, think of it as the topping on the ice cream, but it most certainly isn't the main course. You start to buy things like, these are good promotional gimmicks, but good for who? Las Vegas, hello.
How you doing today, Bruce?
Alrighty. Get better odds on a craps table in your town, don't you?
I have, they say I have no credit rating.
Stop right here.
I'm sorry.
Let's be pragmatic for a moment, all right? You want to buy the car, right?
Yes.
You buying from a dealer?
No, I'm not.
That's screwed.
The dealer, many of my dealers say, this is the problem I'm facing. I know I can go pick up a vehicle through a dealer.
That's right, and get credit.
And get credit that I would not get the deal. I have found a situation where I'm probably getting a vehicle for $2,000, $2,500 under the book value, and it's recognized by...
Let's go back to those miscreants that you call brothers and sisters. Do they have any credit?
Well, they do. Now, the problem is, all my family is out of state, and I am here many miles away. They will loan me the money if I come up with a cosigner.
Well, ask one of these kids who owes you a ton of money to cosign.
They made a stipulation that the cosigner must be in state, and I have no relatives in state. And I am sitting here now.
You make 40 grand a year, did you say?
I make 43.
And you have no debts?
I have 0 debts. I have...
Well, wait, hold on. Slow down.
Okay.
You have 40 grand a year coming in. Does the business that you work for have any connection with the credit union?
They actually have...
That's a yes or a no?
They do not. But they are heavily... I'm in the hotel industry.
All right.
And they are heavily involved with the local bank.
Well, then why don't you have the manager of the hotel go down and have a serious talk with that banker?
Well, I will. That's sort of my own choice. The people that... I work for a father and 2 sons that own 7 hotels outright.
Well, then why don't you just go down and talk...
I could walk in tomorrow and get that money from...
No. You know what jawboning is?
Yes.
All right. What you want is the guy to call that is running a ton of money through that bank. So, you know, Mr. Smith, I've got a bright young fellow working for us. We're paying him 40-odd grand a year. He doesn't owe a kopeck in the world. And you won't believe this. You're not going to believe this, but your loan officer turned him down.
Well, see...
Now, listen to me.
Okay.
Now, he's being a real nice guy, right? He's not telling the guy... That banker's going to get the message in a flash, in a heartbeat. Well, why don't you send... I'm not talking about having your guy call the loan officer. Call the chairman of the board. The chairman of the board is going to say, send him down. For a lousy $3,500, he's going to put that kind of account in jeopardy? Not in your wigwam. Don't be silly.
Okay. Now, there is a reason why I have not approached that bank, and
why?
It's not that strong of a...
Why?
2.5 years ago, I bought a $14,000 automobile. I put $7,000 of my cash down and borrowed on a 90-day note $7,000, knowing that I could come up with the additional $7,000 in 90 days.
Yeah, click quickly now. So
the vehicle, I did not insure. I put it in storage, a license-bonded garage.
Yeah.
The vehicle was stolen. I had 30 days left on the 90-day note. My employer accountant informed the bank that the car was stolen. They made me pay the note off immediately, which was extremely uncomfortable.
Yes, it was. But why didn't you insure it?
I had it insured initially for a few weeks, and I was harping and moaning about the $2,800 a year insurance on a Jaguar vehicle, and my insurance agent, a quote-unquote friend, said, Bill, there is an alternative. Put it in a licensed, bonded garage, and you will not need insurance. They are insured.
Yeah.
And that's what I did.
Were they?
They went Chapter 11 in Richmond. I threw good money after bad, trying to collect...
How about your insurance guy? Did you go after him?
No, I did not.
Why not? He gave you a lousy advice.
I had much of a shot at him.
I don't see why. He's a professional and gave you bad advice.
Yeah.
Well, beyond that, you want the car for your parents?
Yeah.
Go back to the bank. Let your boss make a phone call.
Maybe that's my alternative. I was just curious if you're aware of some other alternative to a cosigner besides that.
I'm not asking for a cosigner.
Okay. With the owner, you say I'm not. By going through the owner.
For pity's sake, the guy, I don't know how many ways to say it. You're a hip kid. That hotel must run $1 million or more a year through the bank.
Yeah.
Are they going to jeopardize that account for a lousy $3,500?
Right. I don't know. I'm the kind of fellow that I don't like to ask for those kind of favors.
Well, that's nonsense. That's what it's all about. That's what scratching backs is all about. Accommodations.
Okay.
Do it.
Yes, sir.
I wish you well, kid.
Appreciate your advice.
All righty.
Thank you.
Hey, listen, the Japanese have an expression. It's called on, O-N. It's a matter of picking up or giving markers. That's the way the network works. I'm Bruce Williams. Don't be ashamed of it. This is Talknet. Away we go to Dallas. Hello there.
Hello, Bruce.
Hi.
I am 25. I'm married, have 2 kids. I've been going to school part-time for the past 4 years.
All right.
All while working full-time. I've completed 3 years now. I have 1 year to go.
Okay.
I have a 4.0 GPA.
4.0?
Yeah. And
See, I don't know, you're shirking again, huh?
well, here's my question. At the company where I work, I've done fairly well since I am going to school. However, I feel like I've stagnated because I don't have my degree now, and I don't think I'm going to go anywhere until I get my degree. Do I go ahead and knock it out by next May? And, you know, I'll hurt my GPA, but I'm not going to hurt it that bad.
What are your plans after baccalaureate?
Well, I'm going to go to graduate school.
In that case, I try to keep that grade point average up there.
Okay.
You've done so well now. That'll be a free ticket to grad school. You know,
yeah.
4.0 for 4 years ought to get you into grad school with a boat.
Well, I just don't think it would hurt me that bad. I think I can get through even in 1 year. I think I can probably get out with a 3.7 or a 3.6.
Well, right now you'd have to screw up terribly to get out with less than that.
Sure.
What makes you believe, with a little extra effort, you can't ace it the rest of this last year?
It's just family. My son's growing up. He's starting school, and
well, maybe you have to kind of ignore that kind of stuff for a year.
That's tough.
Tell me about it. I was married and had kids, remember?
Yeah, I know. I've been listening to you for quite a while.
Sure, but I mean, it just seems to me that not many of us have the ability to go through school 4.0. And if you've done it for 3 years, I have to believe you could do it for the last year. Tough, yes. What's your discipline?
Accounting.
You're a good man. If it were me, I would if you could maintain that average, I would do so.
Okay, great.
Make you outstanding. You know, if you're going to be going to work for one of the major firms.
No, I'm not.
What are you going to do?
Actually, I want to go to graduate school and get an MBA with emphasis in marketing. I'm kind of soured on this accounting.
Is that right?
Another story.
We'll save that for another time.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, good job. You've proven it can be done. I hope that there's somebody listening that might get the idea they can do it as well.
Great.
Take good care.
You too. Bye.
Onward to Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Hello there.
Hello, Bruce. How you doing?
I'm doing real well. What's on your mind?
Well, this is a question I've got for you concerning landlord and tenant rights, I suppose you might call it. We've got a tenant that lives on the second floor of our duplex, and he's been there about a year. He signed a contract that said for every day that he was late with payment of the rent after the first, that it would be $10 a day.
That's how much is the rent?
$3.25.
That's entirely too much.
Well, we tried to eliminate a problem that, of being late, which we had incurred with the girl that was living downstairs.
I understand your concern, but $10 a day?
Well, he signed it.
That doesn't make any difference.
Doesn't make any difference? Well, anyway, to the point, we received a letter on the 1st of August that said he would not be paying all of August's rent and none of September's rent until the 15th of September.
Why?
If you have any questions, you know where I live.
Why?
And the letter.
Why is that?
I have no further information on it.
Did you go ask him?
No.
Well, in the absence of asking, what are we talking about?
Well, the thing was, this has been a continuing problem of his being,
How late has he been?
Halfway through the month.
15th?
Pardon me?
The 15th?
Yeah.
That's too late. But if he
signed a letter that said everything was due on the 1st.
Hold on. First of all, contracts aren't worth very much. Let's start with that, all right?
Okay.
They're only worth as good as the people who execute the contracts. That's number one. Secondly, the $10 a day from the 1st is just entirely too heavy. Entirely too heavy. If you said $10 after the 5th, maybe.
Per day?
That's a lot of dough relative to what the rent is.
Yeah.
Taking your situation, your thing here, in a 31-day month, they got to pay an extra month's rent and late fees. I don't think a court in the world would sustain that.
Well, what I did is I had a letter written up to the effect that said, since you did sign a contract, and I'll forget about that point for now. Then it was $10.
I think that the fact that he is in default of his rental agreement, forget the penalties.
Yeah.
You could probably get him evicted, depending upon how. In some states, you can kick him out real quick. In others, it's very difficult.
Well, I wrote him. I was going to write him a letter. My wife said don't, because she felt that if I did submit it to him on before like the 15th, put some sort of, say, like a $50 penalty.
I don't know. First of all, forget the penalty for the sake. You want to get rid of this guy?
Not really.
Well, he's not going to pay you for a month and a half.
Right. His wife was a friend of my wife's, and it goes, I don't know how far back in that.
Well,
but
why don't you go talk to him and find out why all of a sudden he doesn't want to pay you for a month and a half?
So there is really nothing legal I could do.
I didn't say. No, wait a minute. I didn't say that.
Okay.
You've got to be familiar with landlord rights in your state because they differ dramatically. In some states, you can give people a 3-day notice in their history. Call the sheriff. In others, for all intents and purposes, 6 months is the minimum period you get somebody evicted.
I see.
Now, you don't know what your laws are in your state where you own property, and I don't appreciate that, but that's the first piece of homework you better get to.
I understand.
It's the sort of thing. What's your first name?
Jeff.
Jeff, it's the sort of thing you never ask a question unless you know the answer.
A little homework wouldn't hurt, huh?
Well, yeah, because you don't want to walk in there. He may know more than you do about his rights.
Well,
so before you talk to him, find out what your rights are. What kind of a stick you're carrying.
All right.
Then you go talk to him.
I appreciate that.
Take good care, kid.
Thank you, Bruce.
Van Wert. Is it Van Wert? Van Wart, Ohio. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce. Bruce, I travel about 50,000 miles a year.
Wow.
You've made a lot of long drives home a little bit easier.
Well, thanks, Mike. That's a lot of driving, baby.
Bruce, I'm into several things, but we own a boarding kennel along with some other things. We discovered an exceptional odor eliminating product, and I went ahead and had the guy private label me some a scent eliminator product for humans, for deer hunters.
For what?
It's a human scent eliminator.
Oh, you spray yourself and the deer can't smell you.
Yeah, you spray your clothes, and it's a fishing.
You take away the little edge the deer may have, huh?
Yeah, well, whatever. I'm a hunter, been all my life.
Okay.
Anyway, I got a call from my source, and he asked me if I'd be interested in buying his multi-level business. There's a little bit of a catch to it, though. He had sold it to a company out in Iowa for 78 G's.
He's the manufacturer?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And they reneged. It was a contract deal, and they've missed 3 months on their payments, and
well, precisely what did he sell?
he sold his whole line.
Yeah, but what does that mean?
Oh, he's got.
No. What I don't want to know the whole line. What I'm getting at, did he sell them manufacturing equipment? Did he sell them just the rights to a label? Did he sell them inventory? What?
Okay, he still bottled the product for them.
Yeah.
He still had the right to distribute it elsewhere, like he did with me.
Well, what did he sell them?
He sold the complete line.
I
don't know.
I don't know. I don't think. You see, I'm asking what he sold, and you're not telling me. Did he sell? For example, who owns the label right now?
Well, that's a good question.
Okay. Without those questions, there's not much we can't pursue it very far, can we?
Okay. Say that they own the labels.
They meaning
Iowa, that he had sold it to.
Yeah, they own the name of the product and so on and so forth.
The name of the product and the multi-level product. What he did, he sold them his whole multi-level package.
Mm-hmm.
And they've reneged on the contract. They haven't paid him a payment in 3 months.
Okay, can you tell me why?
I don't know, they started off real good.
That wasn't my question. Can you tell me why?
I think lack of sales.
Hold it, I don't want what you think. Can you tell me why? The answer is no, you can't tell me why.
Honestly.
Get some homework done. You see, these are all the little homework things you're going to have to do.
Yeah.
Then we can talk about this intelligently.
Okay.
I want to know why they're in default, how their sales are, what they own, what does this guy still own, what does he have to do to protect his interest, how would he convey it to you, would that require some kind of court? I don't know the answer to that, but more important, he's got to know.
Okay, well,
And
I
you
guess
gotta
I'm
know.
leading to the real question.
Very quickly.
He has an excellent boot product, and he is giving me an exclusive right on the product.
Mm-hmm. To do what?
To sell it. I mean, it would be he wouldn't sell it to anybody else. It's got an additive into it, like a certain scent.
Okay, well, I want you to hang on to that for dollars and cents, and we'll take a little time out, and we'll get back together. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. I'm chatting with a gentleman in Portland, Oregon. He's thinking about buying a business from a guy who seems to have a lot of things going for him there, and among other things, now he's got a food product. Where'd he go? You let my guy go from Portland? Portland, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, go ahead.
Now, I'm from Portland. I was going to buy a boat.
Oh, different Portland on a different lot. Well, all right, let's talk about your boat in about 1 minute. I don't know what happened to our other guy from Portland. I apologize. Your turn.
Okay.
1 minute.
1 minute, huh?
Now it's 58 seconds. Go.
Okay. Well, I bought a boat from this guy, so I thought. I paid him the cash for it. He said it'd be about 2 months to build it for me.
Mm-hmm.
And so far, it's been since February.
You paid cash up front?
Yes.
Why?
He's my foreman.
Well, that's not the good answer.
No, well, I paid him up front. I figured, well, you know, and then so far I haven't received it, and I want to know what I could do about it.
Well, what can you do about any contract that isn't met? You can either hopefully go to the guy and say he didn't meet it. What do you want to do? And if he doesn't meet his obligations, you can sue him.
Sue him? Sue my foreman?
Well, that's how much money did you give him?
$400 for the boat.
Well, it's not a real lot of money. I thought.
No, but then I'm into the trailer and the rest of it for another $400.
I don't know what to tell you, my friend. It's very foolish to pay anybody up front for, maybe a deposit.
Yeah.
But not the whole business. I don't know what possessed you to do that.
Well, he's my boss, that's why.
Well, if he's your boss, you may have made a contribution to your boss's retirement fund.
Okay, thanks.
I wish you well. They say doing business with friends and particularly employers. I would hope the guy has enough honesty and honor to meet his contract. Gee, hey, it's not easy. Just like the foreman, but try and do what's right, huh? I'm Bruce Williams. Keep in touch. Signed the thing. Was it his position it was his signature?
No, it was his position it was not his signature.
Oh, he's saying somebody forged my name, and you're saying, sorry, sucker.
We believe it is your signature.
I mean, you did it.
And this is a process of measuring slant, slope, and everything, and so it's not...
Who hired you?
Okay, I was hired by the person who had an agreement with the other side.
So you're sustaining your client's position.
That's right. It was a bankruptcy case, and since the place went bankrupt, they were going to try and attack to claim against the individual instead of.
Okay, but the point is, your client's position was sustained through your testimony.
That is correct.
All right.
Okay, I make this decision. 2 other people support this decision. I say we're going to court, and I prepare a letter of opinion stating that the similarities in this case outweighed the dissimilarities, and therefore this is how I came to my conclusion.
All right.
All right. I arrive in court. They put an expert witness on the other side.
And he or she says?
And, well, first of all, they put the man on the stand, and they say, did you sign this agreement?
And he said no.
Well, he said no, but even before they presented the paper that I see, my side pulls out another paper, which I have never seen, with 3 more signatures on it that I have never laid eyes on. This is my side bringing out the page 1 of the agreement with additional signatures.
Okay.
I have always said you never make a quick decision. I said, may I see that? And this paper glanced in front of me, and then... That was the last we saw of that paper. But there was enough doubt in my mind to have said, now maybe it was possible that he signed this rather than the conclusion that he did sign this.
Well, what changed your mind?
It was an identical matchup of the first name, but there were
No, I don't want to know about the differences in the signature. You said that you examined some signatures and they were his.
That's correct.
And then there's another page. Could there possibly be on another page that would change your mind about the page you've already looked at?
There was one single letter that was not found when I did the signature comparison. There was a significant letter. so that it was a major letter that was not found in the known signatures.
Ah.
Okay, but it was just enough to raise the doubt.
All right.
I mean, so I had drawn my opinion, and I was eager to present this. But you don't make a glance examination until you've had the time to...
Well, why was the second page of any moment at this, as far as you're concerned?
Why would what?
Why was this new page of any consequence to you?
Well, it was new evidence, it was new signatures which were presented that I had never seen before.
Were you asked to testify about those signatures as well?
No, I was not.
Well, then why did it concern you?
Because it put enough doubt in my mind that I was then up there with my own client having, I don't know whether they intentionally concealed this from me or held it from me.
Okay, so where are we going?
So I proceeded with my testimony, and I got up there and I proceeded to defend myself in terms of why I drew the conclusion that it was his writing. Okay? We lost the case. All right? Now, a handwriting examiner never wins or loses. They simply present an opinion. But I have received a letter from the attorney, and the attorney said that, you did not present the view we thought. We wouldn't have gone to trial.
Well, what was the view?
What?
Did you hedge?
I said it is possible, and then I defended my opinion. Based on the handwriting, and I said, based on the handwriting which I had examined, and I explained this in front of the judge with transparencies, this is how I arrived at my conclusion.
But then did you bring up the first page?
No, I never mentioned it. But I said that it is possible. And then, of course, in cross-examination, they said, what do you mean by possible? Because I believed it, but I backed down 1 degree, if you want. Okay? So needless to say...
Experts are not supposed to back down.
You're right. Well, I did not back. I defended my opinion and explained, this was like this and this was like that.
But didn't you go over your testimony ahead of time with the attorney on your side?
Yes, I did. That's part of it.
And did it vary in any way from...
Not a thing. The only thing that was the clinker was a new page, the front page of this agreement that had more signatures.
That's without regard to that. Did your testimony vary at any from what you had discussed with the attorney? That's a yes or a no.
Did my opinion vary?
Did you discussed your testimony with the attorney that hired you prior to you taking the stand? I'm sure of that.
Yes.
Did the testimony that you gave on the stand vary in any way, shape, or regard from what you and he discussed?
No. The only thing...
Well, they say no, then you say the only thing. That's a yes or a no. I got a feeling it did vary.
That is what the client is saying that he...
Well, I think it probably did from what you're telling me, because now you're saying no, but. Well, there's no such thing as a no, but. Now, I'm going to ask, did your testimony vary in any way, shape, regard, or inflection from what you had discussed previously with the guy?
Inflection? Perhaps yes.
Yeah, well, then you didn't serve your client very well.
But in light of the new information, if I had never seen that top sheet...
Then why'd you look at it?
It was handed to me.
By whom?
By my attorney. And I'd never laid eyes on the sheet of paper.
All right. So go ahead.
So the question is, the attorney has written and said that, his client is upset and now they're facing costs, etc. And we feel that you didn't provide what we bargained for and our client shouldn't have to pay any money.
I don't agree with that, but I do agree that you changed your testimony.
Even though I got up and defended what...
Without regard to that, if you said to the guy, would you request a recess? I'd like to discuss something with you. The chances are he'd have got the recess.
All right, and that was within my right as an expert.
I don't know that, but I sure would have asked, since he handed it to you. Or at the very least, you could have said, I can't even draw a conclusion now. May I have more time to consider this or something? But I think I think you hedged. I'd be willing to bet on it. You hedged. Now, you can say, well, I was telling the truth. I'm under oath. I'm not going to get into that with you. But he didn't get what he paid for. And that was the testimony he heard the day before. I'd be upset if I were he too. Maybe not mad.
I can understand completely, but what I do not understand is why he withheld the first page of this document in terms of...
I don't know the answer to that. Did you ask him that?
I'm going to.
Well, why didn't you ask him when you talked to him before?
Because I never saw the paper before. I mean, everything happened.
Subsequent to that time, he called and said, we don't want to pay you. Did you say, why did you not give me that document then?
He's not called me. I've just received this in a letter.
Oh, in that case, I want to discuss that with him. But I have to believe, you see, when you hire an expert, you know this, you don't put him on unless he's going to sustain your position. And you're not looking for any surprises. And I got a feeling you surprised him. Now, you're ethical. I can't fault you for that, but I got a feeling you surprised him. I'd talk to him about it if I were you. I'm Bruce Williams for Talknet. Dallas, Texas. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce. How are you?
Good.
Good. I'm trying to find a way to save about $20,000 in an investment, and I need some advice. Limited partnership, and invested in about 5 years ago. About a year ago, they started having some problems, and it seemed like they were coming out from underneath them.
Well, what you say a limited partnership, that is a very, very broad stroke.
Okay.
A real estate limited partnership?
Yes, in a mall in Wisconsin.
Okay.
And they were having problems with the largest renter.
That's called the prime tenant, huh?
Yes. And although within about 3 months after they started having problems, it seemed like they had found somebody to fill that spot. They were also having problems paying off their taxes, and it seemed like one thing after another, but about...
They is we, isn't it?
Pardon me?
I mean, we were having a tough time paying our... Because you're a partner in this whole... This mix. Go ahead.
I'm coming to realize that even more so today.
Okay, so you guys, you had a problem with your prime tenant. You had a problem meeting your obligations.
Right.
All right.
They sent us a note. The general partner sent us a note just recently and said they were trying to either sell it, refinance, or even try to raise additional funds from the limited partners, of which none of the limited partnerships...
Nobody wanted to cough any money up, I'm sure.
Right. That's right.
How much you got in this?
20,000.
How many partners are there?
I don't know the exact number on that.
Don't know. Is that right? Well, how much money was involved in the whole deal?
I want to guess roughly around 600,000. Does that sound about right?
It could be. That would be 30 pieces at 20 a shot.
Yeah. Well, I was a little stupid getting in at this first time. I was young and had worked with an advisor on this, and he had gotten me involved, and I trusted him. He's from my church, and I still do. But nonetheless, I went in with less knowledge than I have about partnerships then as I know about...
Well, there were some tax advantages then that no longer obtain either.
That's right. Well, today I just got a note, and I'll just read you one sentence. It says that despite these efforts, the second mortgage holder, purchase money note holder, it says, has taken permanent possession...
You identified it. We don't want that to happen.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. It was inadvertent on your part. Isn't that nifty? You're just out then. The partnership went broke is what they're telling you.
I'm sorry?
The partnership went belly up.
Yes. Is there anything I can do or anybody can be doing at this point to try and get something else out of this?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know whether, I don't know where the general partner for 20 grand. I'll tell you, let's go around the corner. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. I'm chatting with a young fellow who has learned a expensive lesson, I guess. He's in Dallas. He owned a chunk of a limited partnership. Limited partnership went belly up, right?
That's right.
Unless you can prove some kind of fraud on the part of the general partner, that's one of the hazards of getting involved in limited partnership. The word limited clearly is the operative term here because your losses are limited to, in this case, $20,000. The general partner's losses may be less or maybe greater.
Right.
Depending on how he structured the thing.
Right. Taxes, the fact that they had trouble, the general partner didn't have enough money to pay the taxes, and poor management is what I've been hearing from my broker. Is that part of that you're just speaking of?
Well, there's no law in this country about being stupid. If there was, there are a lot of it being a slammer,
Right.
But there are laws against fraud. Now, I don't know what happened here. It'd be I'm very happy that I got rid of the name of the thing because I just don't know the answer to that, and I don't think you do either.
Right.
It might well be to your advantage with this much money involved. If your guy knows any of the other any of the other limited partners,
I have their names. Yes.
Well, you might want to spend $1 or $2 to make certain that there's no recourse against the general partner.
Right.
Good luck, kid.
Thanks a lot.
Expensive lessons.
Bye-bye.
Hey, our TalkNet family grows tomorrow. It is tomorrow because it's after midnight. Meg Whitman joins us following Neil's program on most of these TalkNet stations. Yeah, Meg is a nationally syndicated columnist, and I'm sure you've enjoyed her column, and a dynamite radio personality. I know you're going to enjoy her. She joins Harvey and Bob and Neil and me here at TalkNet, so give her a big warm welcome. Give her a call. Oh, right after Neil at 800-TALKNET. I'm sure you're going to like the lady. I'm Bruce Williams. This is TalkNet. To Lexington, Kentucky. Hello there.
Hi, Mr. Williams.
Hello, baby. What's up?
I have a situation that I don't understand, and I thought maybe I listen to you all the time, and if you could help me understand it.
Well, I will do my best. Lay it on me.
I have a 3-year-old home that we use as rental property.
All right.
And this weekend, the lady who owns and lives next door to the house went out to cook out and started a gas grill.
Mm-hmm.
And she went inside her house, and apparently the grill somehow caught a motorcycle on fire, the gas tank, and it blew out, exploded, and it blew out the side of my house and burned it all the way down.
You mean your house is burnt completely?
It's all the way gone, yes, sir. And everything in it, everything is just, it's horrible.
Was the house insured?
Yes, sir.
All right.
But she and I had the same insurance company.
I don't think that should matter. It might make it a little bit easier.
And so we met today, and they said that since she didn't directly set the fire, that they don't think she is at fault and that it is her liability. So they say that it's up to me and my deductible and my insurance. Now, I only have I guess I'm called a landlord. I have the landlord policy on it.
Well, do you have fire insurance on your house?
Yes, sir.
How much?
I don't know. You mean like what's the whole? They said that they could build it back for X number of dollars.
How much? Well, let's start with that then. How much is the house worth?
About $68,000.
Does that include the lot?
Yes, sir.
Well, how much is it worth less the lot?
Probably about $10,000, maybe.
So it's worth $58,000 round numbers.
Uh-huh.
How much insurance do you carry?
$61,000.
All right, so there's enough. Can you build the building back for $60,000?
Well, that's what we're getting ready to find out about.
All right.
But what I guess I didn't understand, I have a tenant in there who lost about $14,000 worth of.
Well, she did of personal goods.
Yes, sir.
Did she have insurance?
No.
Well, that's her problem. Now, she wants to. If she's smart, she'll pick up a lawyer to go after the guy next door.
Okay.
Her claim is not against you. You didn't do anything negligent. Her responsibility is to carry insurance on her own goods, and she didn't do that.
But would you feel, or do you think at all that I guess I don't understand why my insurance and I would have to pay the deductible when I just owned the house. I had nothing. I wasn't even in town type of thing.
But you see, we got to talk about negligence. Now, I don't necessarily buy their story, if you want the truth.
Well, that's what I want. I want you to help me understand because it didn't make any sense to me, but I'm not.
Well, then wait a while.
Real good at that anyway.
I'm not so sure either of us is real good at that and not expected to be.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if their position is one that can be defended, i.e., since she was not directly involved, that her grill did that she's not responsible. I'm not sure that's true at all.
Uh-huh.
In fact, I have a hard time with that. That may be the case. But before how much is your deductible?
It's $500.
Well, it's not a whole lot of money either way, then, is there?
Not really, but.
Well, wait a minute, because it costs money to fight, and sometimes it may cost more to fight than it's worth.
Oh, okay.
But I'd still, if it were, I'd want an explanation from them as how they came to that conclusion.
Well, he said, suppose she didn't own the gas grill.
What difference does it make? She was using the gas grill.
Right.
Suppose she was driving a borrowed car. Would that mean she's less responsible than somebody who owns the car?
Well, that's the way I was looking at it, and I thought, well, do I check on the motorcycle insurance to see? It's what burned my house down.
That's another point. Tell you what, Let's see if we can find an attorney who'd like to comment about this.
I really need some help.
Let's see how we... Come on, I know I've got some attorneys out there, even though it's Monday Night Football and all that kind of stuff. I'd like to hear from somebody at 212-245-6040. 212-245-6040. If you're an attorney or even very knowledgeable about insurance, it's kind of a convoluted proposition. It would seem to me, if it were me, I would be going to the guy next door and let my company prove that there was no negligence involved. But, hey, help me out. 212-245-6040. In the meantime, we'll go on to Binghamton, New York. Would you put the lady on hold on... Sheila, would you put line 8 on hold for me because my hold button doesn't work? Now I can go to Binghamton, New York. Hello.
Hey, Bruce, how you doing?
Okay, kid.
Hey, I haven't had to talk to you for 3 years, but here I am again.
Well, what took you so long?
Well, no problem.
Well, what can I say?
There's nothing wrong with that.
I'll try and cause some headaches for you here.
Okay.
What's on your mind?
Well, this is my dad's problem, and I'm calling you for him. It's a situation that developed 3 years ago. He owned 2 pieces of property with the house on one piece and the garage on the other. All right, so the garage goes with this one piece, the house goes with the other. He wanted to sell them both.
Hold on. I mean, the garage goes with one piece.
All right, number 2 and number 4 of this street. He owns them both.
Yeah.
The house sits on number 2, the garage sits on number 4. 2 different lots. Okay?
Well, I understand, but I don't understand.
That's the way it is.
They're all connected, are they not?
Well, they're by land, yeah, but legally he owns 2 pieces.
Well, then he can sell them together or sell them apart as he chooses.
That's right. Okay.
That's a little different. Go ahead.
So he wanted to sell them both. The people that were going to buy it couldn't afford both, so they drew up a document saying, okay, we'll sell the house and its land. My father will keep the garage and its land, and the girls have the option to buy this, and I can't remember up to how long. And the price goes up like 10% every year as long as they wait.
You're giving them an option to purchase.
Giving them an option to purchase, okay? When the surveyor came down to survey the land, he surveyed the entire properties, both, and included them underneath the houses.
The surveyor made a mistake.
The surveyor made a mistake, okay? It went through that way. Okay,
when you say what went through?
The sale went through where the people bought both pieces of property, okay?
Did you have an attorney representing you?
My dad had an attorney representing him.
Well,
and the guy made a mistake, okay? So,
so go ahead.
A month later, my dad goes to pay the taxes on the other property because he hadn't gotten a bill yet, and the girl says, well, you don't even own the property. And he goes, what are you talking about? So he calls the lawyer immediately. The lawyer goes, yeah, I made a mistake. Sorry, we'll clear it up. And believe it or not, here we are 3 years later. Tomorrow, statute of limitations runs out where my dad can sue this guy.
Well, and tomorrow's the day?
Tomorrow's the day.
You better get yourself a lawyer to file an action.
Nobody will take the case. He's been trying for over a year.
Cut me a break. For pity's sake. Have you tried?
No, I have not personally tried.
I cannot believe you can't find an attorney.
He went to Syracuse. He went to the Bar Association.
Well, then and nobody will file a suit against him for an error?
Some guys have agreed to take it, but then they drop it.
Well, then go and file yourself tomorrow.
How does he do that?
He'll have to go into court and file a suit against the guy.
With no lawyer, he just goes...
At least so he beats the statute of limitations.
He can go in without a lawyer
Yes,
and do
he can, but I cannot imagine you can't find an attorney. It's hard for me to believe. There's something more you're not telling me. Or your father's not telling you. Or he doesn't want to spring for the dough or something.
No, he went to talk to the head of the local county bar association. The guy said he'd take the case.
Yeah.
But they got to serve... All right, here's what's going on now. They got to serve the guy the papers, okay?
So?
Start litigation.
So
the
what?
Guy is gone.
What, the attorney?
Yeah.
Well, you didn't tell me that.
He left town. Well, he left town.
Well, you didn't tell me that. You're just, you see, you were inferring. No, wait a minute. You were inferring that lawyers didn't.
Nobody would. For the longest time. You know, here it is. Here it is the day before the statute of limitations on this.
I don't believe that. I'm sorry. There's something more.
Yeah, well, like I said, I wish he could talk to you about it.
Because there's this, your father might have said, well, I don't want to spend $1,000.
No, you kidding? He stands to lose $40.
Well, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. Well, my major question on this whole deal is, let's say something goes wrong and the statute of limitations rolls around. I find it very hard to believe he can really stand to lose out on this, because
Why?
he's been trying for a year with different lawyers.
Look, I don't have any answer for you.
You don't?
I really don't. I mean, when somebody tells me that there's been an error made or an attorney's at fault and nobody will take a case, I know there's something missing, because I know too many lawyers that would cut another lawyer's throat as long as you pay their hourly rate.
It's weird.
Well, no, it's not.
Them.
Again, I have to believe that there's more to it than that. But at the attorneys, you say he's gone? He's no longer practicing law?
No, he basically, my dad didn't want me to say this, but the guy skipped town. They can't find him. He's closed his offices. He's gone.
Why did he skip town?
Because he's going to lose his shirt if my dad gets his case, I guess. I don't know.
Not for $40,000. He's not going to skip. You see, somebody's lying to somebody. I wish I had a better answer for you, my friend. I'm Bruce Williams. Stick around. This is Talknet. A moment ago, I was talking with a lady in Lexington, Kentucky. The gas grill of a neighbor started a fire. Motorcycle blew up, burned her house down. They both have the same insurance company. Now the insurance company says, well, we're not liable except under your own fire insurance. Now, it just seems to me there ought to be some liability someplace. I have an insurance agent from Denver, Colorado. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce.
Hi.
First of all, most of the time, I just heard the point now about both being insured with the same carrier.
Yeah.
Most of the time when you have two insureds with the same carrier, the deductible is usually waived.
Uh-huh. That's true in a kind of collision, certainly.
Yeah, and then I think that will be the same in this situation here as well.
Okay.
The other situation here is if there were two different carriers, and it certainly would hold true with one carrier as well, her carrier will pay off the $60,000 or the limit of the policy in repairing her...
yeah, but how does this excuse... Their position is that the woman didn't deliberately let the gas grill set the motorcycle off, so there's no liability. How do they come to that conclusion?
Well, that's a conclusion that an adjuster, I'm sure, will come to, but I think that if it came to...
well, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what my thoughts are, and you tell me if it makes sense or not. All right? If they... Let's start with a premise. They're on a hook. If they pay under the woman's fire insurance, they're limited. Their exposure is limited to the amount of the policy, $61,000. If they pay under the liability, it's not limited. It's limited to whatever the loss is, or whatever the policy amount is.
Is she saying that they're wanting to collect under her liability policy?
No, let's hear me out. No, unfortunately, not under the other guy's liability policy. They wanted to collect under her own fire.
Well, if it's the same carrier, it really wouldn't make a difference.
Yes, it would make a difference. Hear me out. Because for two reasons. One, if you pay under her fire insurance, their liability is clearly spelled out to the limit that she's carrying.
That's correct.
Under the liability portion of the other person's policy, there would be no such limitation.
Well, there's a limitation under that policy as well.
Yeah, but it may be higher.
Yes, certainly.
All right, and the second variable is there is another party that was damaged here, that her tenant lost $14,000 worth of stuff.
Well, as you said before, that you're perfectly right. That's the tenant's problem.
No, well, wait a while.
The tenant's problem has got to go against the person who made the fire.
You're absolutely right, but the point being that if they paid under the liability portion, they have then admitted liability not only to this person, but to the tenant as well. Their exposure is considerably greater.
That's correct.
So why go out and admit liability is what they're saying.
That's I believe that you're absolutely correct, and that is what they're saying. And their liability policy reads that their company, the company of the other party, will pay on their behalf that which they're legally obligated to pay as a result of their negligence.
Indeed.
That who has to determine whether or not they're legally obligated to pay, and that would be a court of law.
Absolutely.
So an action would have to be brought by someone.
Had they, if they gratuitously allowed the other policy to pay, they would have admitted negligence.
That's correct.
So that's why I think that's why they're not doing it that way.
I think most insurance companies I hate to make a generalization, but in today's marketplace, a lot of insurance companies are taking the attitude that if we can deny the claim, let's deny the claim to a third party. Let's pay our own first party if we have to under their property policy, the fire policy, the 61,000 in this particular case. But let's not admit liability, as you say. If they're admitting liability to her for the 61, then they will be equally admitting it to the $14,000.
Indeed, that would be my analysis.
On the contents, and perhaps others as well.
That's right. So it seemed to me that her as long as she can get whole on her 61, take the 61 and let the other party sue the guy next door.
And there's one other factor involved as well.
What's that?
And that is whether or not there was negligence on behalf of the person who owned the motorcycle, if that was still a different person.
Indeed, because that would bring another party in. Indeed. Hey, thanks very much, my friend.
You're quite welcome.
I really appreciate it.
My first opportunity to speak to you, even though I've listened to you in my car for umpteen years.
Well, hey, listen, thanks for jumping in, Tiger.
Take care.
All right, Lexington, did you hear all that?
Yes, sir, I surely
So
did.
what it amounts to is collect from your own company, tell your neighbor to sue the guy with a house and possibly with a motorcycle, and tell him to get an attorney. You don't need one.
Great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, there's one other factor here, though.
Yes, sir.
You maybe need one. Hold it. You know why? Because you're going to lose a lot of rent.
Well, no, sir, that was covered under the landlord policy.
Oh, you got that covered?
Yes, sir, I had that covered, except that they said this might increase my insurance now.
Well, and in that case, still sue him. Go in peace, baby.
You're kind. Thank you.
So long.
Bye-bye.
Tell you something, though. You got to wonder. Well, I understand what they're doing. I can see why they're doing it. Don't agree with it necessarily. St. Louis, hello.
Hi, Bruce.
Hi.
I've got a dilemma here. I'm a jewelry store owner, and I was saddened to find out that one of my employees was dipping in the old gold dust.
Stinks, doesn't it?
It's really bad because he's an excellent jeweler, and I want an objective opinion as to how you think I should handle this. I mean, what's your advice?
Well, first of all, it's not an easy thing, and I faced it. Okay.
Okay.
Employees sometimes steal. Is the guy desperate for some reason? Does he got a terminal illness in the family, and he's on his uppers?
No, I don't think that's the case. He's not a natural. I mean, he's a U.S. Immigrant.
How long has he been with you?
A little over a year and a half.
How long has he been stealing?
Well, I've kind of suspected on and off a few months, but I had a witness tonight, and we definitely nailed it down, but I haven't approached him with it yet.
But I mean, the question is how long.
He doesn't speak good English either.
I don't care about his English. How long has it been going on? It's going on for a long period of time. If the guy's only been there for a year and a half, he's been stealing from 6 months on to get rid of him.
Yeah, well, it's he's so good. He's excellent.
That doesn't matter.
And I pay him well too. It's not. I mean, he's on piecework. He makes great bucks.
Doesn't matter. The guy's a long-term employee. You told me his wife was sick, or he's up to his eyes, and I wouldn't like it very much. I have a serious talk with him because I faced this similar situation.
Yeah. Well, he just bought a new house. He had 2 new kids, and you know.
Yeah, well, he may
be a little tight for money, but.
How much is he clipping you for?
Quite a bit of gold dust. He doesn't take jewelry. He takes gold dust.
Well, as far as you know.
So as far as I know, I would say about 1 out of 5 days worth of gold dust.
What does that mean in dollars?
Oh, well, if gold's $300 an ounce, maybe a half an ounce a month.
A month. He's clipping you for $1,800 a year.
That's about right.
How valuable an employee is he?
Oh, he's worth it.
Well, you have a talk with him about it.
Okay.
And explain what the next time out of the box. It won't be just a matter of firing him. You'll prosecute him.
That was the kind of advice I was wanting to hear, because I think he's genuinely a good fella. But
he looks at this is a fringe benefit, huh?
I think that's what it is.
Point that out. This is no fringe benefit. And the next time is best, at the very least, you're going to do your best to see that he goes to jail. And better yet, if is he a naturalized citizen or here in a work permit?
He's been here for about 2 years.
And you tell him
he's married in the United States.
Oh, he's married in, because otherwise I'd advise him. I'd do my best to see that he gets deported if they catch him again.
And I could probably do that, but they're a real nice family.
That may be, but they're still stealing from you.
That's true. That's true.
Good luck, kid.
Well, thanks a lot.
It's a lousy situation, because I say I've been there. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Topeka, Kansas. Hello there.
Hi.
Hi.
I have a dog food supplement that I make that I store in the freezer.
All right.
And I share it sometimes with my friends. One of my one of my friends' husband is a frozen food broker, and he was really impressed with it. He's getting ready to market a frozen dog food that's made by a small company, and he told me this would sell real well next to it in the freezer case. And he wants to put me in touch with this man.
Well, talk to him.
Well, he told me I need to buy an electronic product strip.
Who? Oh, you mean a barcode thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when I mentioned it to my husband, he told me he thought I needed to patent my recipe first.
I'm not sure you can patent a recipe.
Well, I didn't think you could patent a recipe.
Copyright it.
Copyright
You
it.
copyright the name, but all you got to do is change the formula. I wouldn't worry much about that.
Wouldn't worry about it.
I don't think there's much you can do about it. If you're putting in 2 parts horse meat, 1 part this, the other guy puts in 2.2 parts. What difference does it make? And how many dogs are going to testify? I mean, really.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, then do I do this?
Through his hands?
Right.
No reason for that whatever.
I can see that.
None whatever. But there should be a first mortgage issued in his favor.
Right.
And you can work the payments out anyway. It can be interest only. I really think you'd be foolish if you get involved in a negative amortization mortgage. Do you know what that means?
No.
It means, let's assume that you can pay $1 a month.
Right.
It takes $1.25 a month to carry the deal.
Got it.
Now you're going a whole $0.25 every month.
Right.
If that's the case, don't buy.
Right.
You are not ready.
Right. That
There
makes
should
sense.
be at the very least a neutral position, interest only. It should be even however slight, reducing your principal obligation.
Right.
But never digging a hole.
Right. Yeah, that I figured, yeah.
Okay, but sit down with an accountant.
Okay.
You can determine in whose best interest it would be to have the house titled.
Okay.
And then go from there. I'd
good.
be much more comfortable he just loaned you the money on a straight mortgage basis. I would not be from his point of view, give you a long-term mortgage.
Okay.
I'd give you like a 5-year renegotiable or something of that nature.
Okay.
5 years from now, you ought to be able to qualify for your own mortgage and take him off the hook.
Right.
I do wish you well, my friend.
Okay, thank you.
It's been a joy.
Bye-bye.
We go now to Reno, Nevada. Hello. You notice I'm starting to get it right. I say Nevada, not Nevada.
Right.
I'm sneaking up on it. I'm a slow study.
Common mistake, no problem. Bruce, did I hear you say you were here recently?
Not recently, no.
Not recently.
I have been in Reno, yes.
Have you spoken, Reno?
Yes, I have. At Harrah's, as a matter of fact.
I must have missed it.
You rascal. Well, maybe we'll do it again.
Okay, what I wanted to ask you is, I'm planning on taking a 6 to 7 month trip to South America, and I want to find out what features should I look for in a travel insurance policy.
What do you want to insure against?
Well, in case I get deathly ill and I have to fly back 2 months into the trip, which I don't plan on, but...
Well, you can get trip cancellation insurance for that.
Okay.
Buy that through your travel agent. You want to be certain that whatever hospitalization insurance you have covers you out of the country. Also, when you want to find out what the claim procedure is and so forth, and, be very specific. This is where I'm going. How do I go about it?
Okay.
Do you have an American Express card?
No.
American Express offers an interesting service now where they have numbers all over the world where you can find attorneys and hospitals and the right doctors and so forth that are card holders.
I know there's a list available of English-speaking doctors, and...
Well, I'm not trying to give American Express a commercial here.
No, I know.
But I think for someone who's traveling as extensively as you will be in foreign countries, it might be well for you to pick up that green card before you go.
Okay.
If it's possible.
Problem is I quit my job to do it, and they wouldn't give me 7 months off. I don't...
Well, then you may have a problem getting the card, so we can forget about that.
I have more Visa and MasterCards than I know what to do with. But,
what are you doing taking this 7-month jaunt? Tell me about it.
Well, I'm going to do like a disaster relief help where I live in a country for a while. And I thought I'd take about 2 months out of that to shoot around, see some other countries, Argentina.
Oh, wait, let's back up. Explain that. A country where you lived, did you say?
No. I will be going down through an agency, helping out somewhere, volunteering my time, and staying put for however long, say 5 months.
Uh-huh.
And then I thought I'd take about 2 more months out of that just to travel around a little bit.
Uh-huh. Just one caveat.
Okay.
Be careful where you go.
Okay.
Have you been to South America before?
No.
All right. There are a lot of places that are very nice. There's a lot of places that are very bad.
Okay.
Where where you just might become a statistic.
Can you give me names of cities?
Oh, I'm not going to do that.
Okay, but
Well, for example, there are parts of Colombia where I have visited, and I'm quite comfortable. There are parts of Colombia that you couldn't get me into with a Canon.
Okay.
And there are several other countries I could mention.
What about Bogota? Would you go there?
No, Bogota's no problem.
Okay.
I'm talking about some of the hinterlands. I mean, there are a lot of places that it's like Mexico. There are a lot of places in Mexico I wouldn't feel comfortable driving, and there are a lot of places I would. But I just don't go out with the idea, I'm an American, nothing can happen to me.
No, I realize.
Because things can and do. Aside from that, you want to check with your medical insurer, as I mentioned. You can buy trip cancellation insurance from your travel agent in the event that you have to cancel a flight and that sort of jazz. If you're not on charters, that's not really a problem anyway.
Okay.
As far as the things you have with you, you can buy an insurance policy for your clothing and jewelry and whatever, but I have a suspicion you're going to be traveling fairly light anyway,
right,
right?
Backpack.
So that's not going to be a factor.
Okay.
If you drive an automobile, be certain that you have the appropriate insurance for that country.
Okay, I don't plan on doing that.
Well, but if you do, just be certain you do. And there are a lot of countries, and I can't go down the line. That I won't drive in. I hire a driver.
Okay, now when you're saying places that you wouldn't want to go, are you talking driving there or just going in general?
Well, no, wait a minute. There's some countries I wouldn't drive in.
Okay.
Because you have an accident as a foreigner, you're liable to wind up in a clink.
Right.
And it's just, I've found that you're better off to hire a driver. It's not that expensive. But there are parts of some South American countries where and I mentioned one, Colombia,
right,
where I would not go under any conditions.
Okay, driving
or otherwise, no way would I go. That's all there is to that. I just think it's wise to be, and I'm not, a Pollyanna by anybody's standard. Have a good trip, my friend.
Can I ask you one more thing, Bruce?
All right, hang on, we'll go around the corner together because I'm getting a little behind in my obligations. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. What's on your mind?
Okay, I am planning on starting up a kiosk in a mall, and I wanted to know if you had any quick warnings for me. I've been asking as many questions as I can throw at people.
I mean, we just don't have the time to get into that.
Okay.
You are talking about the most expensive space in a mall.
No, a kiosk.
Yes, you're talking about the most expensive space in a mall, a kiosk. You're going to pay more per square foot, I'll bet you, for that kiosk than any place else in the mall.
Well, I'm willing to do that.
Well, it's another matter. I'm just telling you. You're going to pay a whole bunch more per square because you're out there among the traffic and you're renting a relatively modest amount of space.
All right.
Just be certain they have the amenities you need. For example, you want to open up a florist thing and you don't have a sink and you don't have any water. You're in real trouble. You have to know what they have available and what is not available. Be certain that you are allowed to do by local ordinance what you want to do in the aisles. There are a lot of things you can't do in a kiosk you can do in a regular store in many communities. And there may be no prohibitions. But before you sign the lease, be certain that you are allowed to do what it says you're going to do.
Okay, should I get an attorney too?
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Man. You're going to be talking about sharing the cost of the parking lot and the plowing and all that good stuff. You bet your life. There'll be an overage. So much you'll guarantee rent plus a percentage of your gross over that number. Oh, yeah, a lot of good things to get involved with. Have it reviewed.
Good enough.
Have a great trip, son.
Thank you.
We go now to Sacramento, Plop Land, California. Hello there.
Hi there, Bruce.
How are you?
Fine. I would like to know how long should I keep collision on my car?
Well, it's not a question of how long as much as what value. In other words, if you're driving a Rolls-Royce Silver Cloud, you might keep that for 30 years.
Yeah.
If you're driving, oh my goodness, I'm starting to pick on cars here. What's the little car from? What's that $4,000 car?
Oh yeah, I know.
From Yugo.
Yeah.
Well, you might drop that after a year because it's not worth but a couple grand.
Yeah.
Well, I think sometime when you get around $3,000, it doesn't pay to haul it. Somewhere between $3,000 and $3,500, the value of the car no longer becomes economically viable.
Okay.
Well, that's just a ballpark number.
Yeah.
You see, when you go out, you insure a car that's worth $20 grand, you might pay $2, whatever the number is, all right? But it's worth $5,000, you pay $1.50. Well, it's just not that much of a bargain at $1.50 for the $5,000 against the $2 for the $20,000.
Right.
You see what I'm getting at?
Yeah.
It becomes a progressively less valuable buy. That's all.
Okay.
Okay, sweetheart.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for your call.
Bye.
Grand Island, Nebraska. Hello there.
Hello, Bruce. How you doing?
I am well, thank you.
You can hear me all right?
Just like you were in a room with me.
Well, good enough. Well, you've got such a well-balanced view of life that it's really fascinating to talk to you. You talk to an accountant, you get one side, and talk to you, you get overall view, and that's what I need. We've got, my wife and I have a mom-and-pop restaurant operation outside of Grand Island, a small town of 4,000 people. And we've been so successful, we run out of seating, and there's no way to expand. Now, I don't want to stop this momentum, and I was wondering if I should go to a bigger town like Omaha or franchise or try to run 2 operations or what?
Well, you've thrown a whole menu in front of me. I wouldn't close down one operation that's successful to go to a second, I'll tell you that.
Well, I'd like to get my feet wet.
Well, wait a minute. You've got a successful operation.
Right.
I would not get rid of that.
No.
My inclination would be to do it, and franchising, I doubt seriously you're ready for. I don't think you probably don't have the money for it. That's a very expensive venture.
Yeah, you got that right.
So most of us don't have that kind of dough hanging around. And furthermore, one unit doesn't make a franchise.
That's right.
Although there are times. Is there something, and I don't mean this, how do I put this nicely? Is there something very special about your restaurant? You're good at what you do, obviously, but is there something that really sets it aside from all others?
I am totally bewildered. I never expected the kind of success we had.
Good. Well, it's a regular, fairly...
So just home cooking, nice atmosphere.
Okay. Very well. My inclination would be to open a second unit, and in the area.
Within how many miles where I can commute?
Oh, absolutely. Where you get back and forth the same day, same afternoon.
Well, I've got a young man right now that wants to go to work for me on another town about 40 miles away.
Mm-hmm. Is it necessary?
He'd be an excellent manager. He's a self-starter.
Is it necessary to go 40 miles?
Huh?
Is it necessary to go 40 miles? Why not go 4 or 5 miles?
Well, in Nebraska, you'd have to go 40 miles.
Why? You telling me that Grand Island can't support 2 restaurants?
Well, Grand Island is, they're really having a food war right now.
Yeah, I've been in Grand Island.
The economy isn't too cherry there, you know that?
But you're doing real well, aren't you?
Well, I'm outside of the town.
How far are you outside of the town?
30 miles.
Well, but let's go back. We review the bidding here just for a second. Is the economy in this town where this self-starting young man is living in good shape, or reasonably good shape?
Yes.
All right. You see, it seems to me both of you guys, you have to do some commuting for a while.
Yeah.
Would seem to me you want to put him in charge of the operation that's successful, the one you got now.
Oh.
And you go out and do the spade work in a new place to get it on its feet.
Okay.
Then
now, you threw something at me I hadn't even considered.
Then you can reverse roles.
Right. Okay.
Because it would be a lot easier for him to move into the successful operation that you built.
Well, thank you. I couldn't see the forest for the trees.
Well, it just seems to me something to consider.
You bet.
My friend, I got to turn you loose.
Thank you much, Bruce.
I wish you well. I'm Bruce Williams. Stick around, kids. This is Talknet.
Manufacturing redemption coupon in a newspaper. And the product name was overlaid on a picture. And the name was just about blackened out. You could barely read it. And the newspaper was willing to give me 25% off the cost of the coupon. Off the cost of the printing of the coupon.
Wait a minute. Of the printing or the entire cost to have the insert or whatever it is in the paper?
Yeah, the entire cost, $600 cost.
And they want to give you 25 points off.
25% off.
And the ad apparently didn't do any good for you.
Well,
or did it?
We won't know for months until the coupons go through the retail stores and back to the clearinghouses. But the way the coupon looks, on first glance, you're not going to recognize the manufacturer, the product, because the slogan comes out way before the coupon, or not the coupon, way before the manufacturer's name.
Was this a matter of a printing error or a composition error or an artistic error? Or
artistic error. I got a proof in the mail the Saturday before it was supposed to run. It runs on a Monday.
And
the proof didn't show the picture in the background, so I couldn't tell that the name was going to be blackened out. So
but that wasn't a true proof then?
No, it wasn't a true proof. So
can I ask you this?
Yes.
You got it on a Saturday before a Monday. Was this a rush order? You put it in on Friday?
I got it in on Wednesday before closing time. And so my contention is I took a small poll. This is a small manufactured product. Mm-hmm. So people that are familiar with the name, I pulled a dozen of them who are coupon clippers, and none of them saw the coupon. And our contention is that the people couldn't see the name, glancing through the paper quickly, looking for coupons they identify with, and I don't want to pay for the ad at all. But then some people say, well, maybe go for half. And I feel that I didn't get what I paid for and what I ordered, and I don't want to pay any at all. So what's your feelings on it?
All right, let's do it realistically for just a moment, shall we?
Mm-hmm.
I've only got about a minute, so I'm going to talk a little more quickly than I would like to do. When you place the ad,
yes.
Have you run other ads like this before?
One other time.
All right. Then at least on the other ad was about the same size and the same kind of newspaper and so forth?
Yes, different in some ways.
Well, how different?
Well,
how different?
How different? The name was much clearer.
No, I don't want to know about that. I'm talking about the same demographics, the same size ad, and all that sort of jazz.
Okay, yes.
Okay. Then you know how much that ad pulled.
Oh, yes.
Well, why not say to the newspaper, look, let's be fair about this. The last ad pulled 100 responses.
And we knew the product was out on the shelf.
Well, hold it. Without regard to that, we pulled 100 responses last time. Why don't we do this? We'll use 100 as a norm. If we pull 100 or more, we'll pay for the whole ad.
Okay.
If we pull 50, we'll pay for 50% of the ad. If we pull 25, 25%. It seems to me that would be a reasonable way to approach it. Empirically, you've got the norm in place. You don't want to beat them, and if you do the business, you have no reason not to pay for the ad. If you don't do the business, you have every reason not to pay for the ad. And if I were the guy from the newspaper, I think that was a reasonable response. Let me know how it comes down. Hey, it's a good hour. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet.
I have vents under the house every 6 feet, but every window in my house sweats when there's a change in temperature.
I would get a contractor to come
and
take a look.
You know what they tell me?
What do they tell me?
Put more insulation. Do this. Put storm windows.
Well, I don't think that's the problem.
I don't either.
It may be, but they're...
Well, what were you talking about, breathing holes under the house?
No, they're generally speaking, they're in the upper part of the house.
Upper part of it?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, what do you mean?
I mean, talking about the attic area or the crawl space if you have a one-family home, one-story home with a crawl space.
Well, it's a story and a half. You might say I have an attic that I can get into. It has floored.
Well, here's see, I'm no expert in this area.
I understand, but any suggestion would help.
Well, I would get an expert to come in.
Well, what kind? I got a contractor, and he...
Well, you got one contractor. I'll try another one.
He sent a man here to put up storm windows, which would cost me $2,000-$3,000, and he didn't guarantee anything.
Well, I think part of the problem is he's not going to make much money putting a couple of vents in. But there may well be a good handyman in your part of the world that is knowledgeable and is willing to do the small job.
Well, could dampness under the house cause it?
Could it cause it? Yes. Do I think it's, from what you're telling me, the house is probably over-sealed in so many... Is this a relatively new home?
No. It's 40, 50 years old.
That's unusual.
Brick.
That's unusual.
But I don't know. It just bothers me because it's one time I have a big picture window in the front, and I got a cup full of water out.
I don't know. That'll happen when you see what you're doing is you're reaching the dew point in your house.
Yes, I know.
And when you reach the dew point, water turns or water vapor turns, condensation turns into water. Now, there's another thing that may be that your house is too damp.
Well, what makes that?
You get a dehumidifier.
Well, that's what I think would be better than anything.
Well, why don't you try that? You can rent them to try it out and see if it corrects the problem.
Well, I could.
And they're not expensive. Well, everything's relative, but
I understand, but
couple $100.
It is a 7-room house. Now, would it cover that whole house? Would I have to have 2 of them?
You'd have to have more than one.
That's what I thought. I talked to somebody about that.
What kind of heat do you have?
I have forced air.
Well, you could conceivably have it work through your forced air system then.
I talked to the man that works on that. He said he didn't seem too encouraging on that.
Do you have air conditioning, central air?
Yes.
Well, the central air, the unit could be used to that, I believe.
Well, that's what I thought.
Because an air conditioning unit...
I don't have any trouble in summer.
Yeah, because an air conditioning unit's a dehumidifier. Essentially.
Yeah.
Isn't that true?
Well,
when you air condition, when you cool the air, you dry out the air. That's exactly
well, you
right.
know, Mobile's a damp area. And I live on a street that floods. And it has flooded under my house. There's been water under my house.
I don't think that may be a contributing
Now, if
factor.
somebody wanted me to put plastic there, if I put plastic there, then if it floods and gets under it, it never would dry.
No, what they're talking about is a vapor barrier. That's not a big deal. But it's not going to get underneath the vapor barrier if it's done properly. It's not, and that may be a help to put a vapor barrier underneath, and it's not expensive.
Vapor barrier, they put it on
It's called a vapor barrier.
Oh, vapor barrier. I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's my Yankee accent.
Well.
What can I tell you?
Oh, shoot.
But you're really going to need an expert. But if the house is just over moisturized, and I have an office like that, I have a dehumidifier, and that thing I'll bet you takes out.
Well, now, you have to empty that thing.
Oh, well, no, with mine you do, because I have no place for it to go.
I don't either.
But what you can do, there's on the back of the drawer that holds the water, there's a little place for a tube. If you had somewhere for it to run off, you could do that too.
Run it through the floor, huh?
Well, I don't know. I mean, in my case,
That's the only way I'd have to do it.
In my case, once a day, somebody's got to empty that foolish thing. But it actually in the summer months, when it's when we have a problem with the humidity, it actually in one room fills up a drawer a day.
Well, you know it's humid here.
Yes, I do.
And but I don't have anything in the summertime, only in the winter.
Yeah, because you have central air conditioning, and the central air is acting as a dehumidifier.
Oh, well.
So I would go to the dehumidifier route to begin with, and the vapor barrier underneath certainly is not going to do you any harm. I wish you well, dear.
Thank you, and I enjoy your program so very much.
You're a joy.
Bye-bye.
I'm Bruce Williams. Stick around for more, kids. This is Talknet.
No, I did. I'm absolutely awash in cash.
Well, that's a nice position to be in.
Yeah, I know it. And I buy very few things on time. And I'm only getting 5 to 6% now on my money. And they wanted from 9 to 10 on the house, so I just paid cash. Made the deal simpler for another thing.
Well, it does make it simpler, and that's the reason that I got involved. But then I financed it at my leisure.
Oh, well, of course, if I could do that too, but I really don't have anything that I could use the money for.
You say you're awash in money. How can you tell me what you're talking about?
Well, I've got probably $500,000 or $600,000 in federal paper. Anywhere from short-term, from notes on up to bonds.
Wouldn't it be wise to sit down with a planner and figure out?
I'm planning on doing that.
Because that's too much money to have there.
But I also have common stocks, quite a bit.
Well, the point is, then you're paying a lot more taxes than you really have to pay.
Yeah, that's right. But of course, the advantages of shelters is not as great as it was last year.
It's not as great as it was, but it's still with us.
I tell you one thing that I do like about it: when you don't itemize, then you have a lot less trouble with the IRS. You just take.
But you're not going to tell me a guy with $1 million worth is not going to itemize.
No, I don't itemize.
You got to be kidding.
Absolutely
You're getting some lousy advice from somebody. I cannot believe you're talking about $500,600,000 in paper plus stocks. You're worth $1 million or more, right?
Yeah, more than that.
And you don't itemize. You are. I would like to have. There are a lot of people would love to earn what you're throwing down a toilet.
Well, maybe I'll do something about it.
I mean, obviously, you're an intelligent guy. Where does money come from? You earn it?
Most of it, yeah.
Okay, then you're not a stupid man. You're a bright guy.
Most of it, yeah.
And I understand your lack of enthusiasm for an audit, because nobody wants to go through those silly things. But on the other hand, the government says take every advantage that you can, and you're just not taking advantages. To have that kind of money sitting there in taxable income is just foolish, in my view.
Well, what would you suggest then? A good man to...
Absolutely, you're a good woman. It doesn't have to be a man.
A good person.
Here you go.
Yeah, a good person.
To sit down, and I'm talking about somebody you're going to pay a decent fee to.
Yeah, that's right. I would prefer somebody who didn't suggest that I buy this or that from a particular person. I'd rather pay
them the fee.
Pay a flat fee and...
advice only.
And advice only, that's right. Well, I think I'll get into that.
Well, I think you owe that to yourself yesterday.
Yeah, perhaps
I'll get to that right away.
Okay, thanks very much.
Take good care of my... In the meantime, sure, keep the house for cash. I think you're going to find that they're going to advise you to get a mortgage, because it just makes sense even under the new system. Portland, Oregon, your turn on Talknet.
Hi, Bruce.
Hello there.
I was hoping maybe you've run across this situation in the many times you've hired and fired. I never have, and I've hired and fired some. I had an old employee who was near perfect, like 9.99 on a scale of 10. She got pregnant and moved away, and we sort of said goodbye, and I cried, and that was the end of it.
9.9 on a scale of 10.
Yeah, I got a new employee to replace her, who is maybe 6.9 or 7 on a scale of 10.
What are these people doing for you, Bob?
Secretaries.
Okay.
Okay, so now the old employee has asked me if she can have her job back. And like I said, this was the perfect employee for us. But the new employee isn't bad enough that I can just say, sorry, or maybe I can. I've talked to a couple of people, and one said, hey, I don't think you have any problem, just kick her out. And the other, someone else.
Wouldn't you like to have that person for a friend that said
right,
that?
exactly. Someone else I talked to said, oh my God, how can you possibly consider firing someone for such a reason? And so I guess I feel sort of inexperienced.
How long has this person been away from you that had the pregnancy?
She left in August of last year. So I should say she left about half a year ago.
Half a year ago. Because interestingly, there have been some court decisions about how much time we should give people off for pregnancy and so forth. Did she say she was coming back, or did she say...
No, that's the problem. I didn't consider that she was ever going to come back, because she moved across the country, and so I didn't warn the new person and say, guess what, down the line, if this other perfect employee ever wants the job back, I would never stop. I would just, kick you out. I felt like maybe if I could have given her some advance warning, it would have been a different situation.
Tell you the truth, personally, I would keep the guy I had.
For, because of kindness?
Well, that's not a question of kindness. Somebody will leave you once, will leave you a second time. Why did she move across the country?
Well, that's where her family is. And with the pregnancy, which was rather difficult, and some family problems, she felt like she just had to go home.
This is like a single parent type of thing, opposed to...
No, but she may as well be. She doesn't have the best marriage in the world.
That's another
He moved with her.
Pardon?
They were a pair.
And what happens if this happens again? I'm serious,
Well, that was the first thing I said when she called me back. I said, I would consider it, but I don't want to have you many months down the line say you've decided you're homesick again. Turns out there were some specific family problems that have now been solved that aren't the kind that recur. And also, once she got home, she realized a visit would have been enough. The family situation wasn't that warm either.
Can't go home again, is that?
Well,
Thomas Wolfe or something?
Yeah. The problem with the new employee is that she's costing me a lot more of my time proofing what she's doing that the old employee never caused me. And that's why it's so tempting. I'm spending a lot of my time correcting the mistakes of the new person.
Well, no, that's a different matter. You see, you give her a 6.9. Yeah, well, that's pretty. 70% ain't bad in today's marketplace. At least in my part of the world, it's not.
Yeah.
How about this? Could you find a comparable position for employee number one, the girl who's working for you now?
Only by going out of my company, and I have kind of called around to friends who often need secretarial people and asked them what they've got right now.
Nothing in your company?
Nothing in my company, no.
You work for a big company, a little company?
Tiny company.
Oh.
There's only one secretary.
Can't get much smaller than that, can you?
This is the one. And that's part of the problem is we have a little company, but it has to have very high standards of perfection for type things that go out.
Is there something else that this woman could do in the company besides be a secretary?
Well, I'd have to think about it, but that's a possibility.
I mean, I understand when you got somebody who's dynamite, because dynamite people don't come up.
Something to share, someone you know who will always be there. Tune in, turn on, Talknet. We care.
Well, hello there. How are you? I'm Bruce Williams. Welcome, my friends. Welcome to my world. Welcome to Talknet. I am very pleased you dropped by. Hope I can persuade you to hang around for a little while. We'll cut up a couple of jackpots. We'll talk to you, with you, and about you, about your life, your hopes, your ambitions. With a little bit of luck, we can spin a dream or two, because what would life be without a dream? We can examine the things that have gone well for you and some of the things that may need just a little repairing, huh? And by sharing these ideas, we all learn along the way and hopefully enjoy the interplay. Well, in about 60 seconds, we're going to put the whole thing together, and you're part of it. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. We begin in Dallas, Texas. Hello there, Big D.
Hello, Bruce.
How we doing, kid?
Pretty good.
Good.
I just went to Las Vegas and won $1 million.
You won $1 million.
No.
By not playing, huh? Yeah.
No, I just wanted to ask you a question about the airline tickets that are advertised in the newspaper by individuals at a discount. What potential problems?
Well, what's the I don't know what the purpose of the ad is. If you're telling somebody has like a bonus coupon that they got for frequent flyers?
No, I don't think they're bonus coupons. I haven't checked them out, but I think what they probably are some of the advance purchase discount tickets that if you try to get a refund, they slap you with a severe penalty.
Yeah, but up to 50%.
Yeah. Now, can they effectively resell those and somebody else be able to use them, or is somebody else?
I think the answer is yes and no. I mean, legally, probably not.
Well, yeah.
Here's the thing. I do a lot of flying.
All right.
And I don't ever recall anybody ever asking me to... Now, this is domestic, not international.
Well, now I'm talking about international.
Well, international. Well, that's a different matter because now they start when you walk up to. Have you gone to Europe?
Yeah. Well, every 2 years ago.
Well, every time you go up to the counter, what do they want to see?
Passports.
Exactly. They match the ticket.
Yeah.
International names have got to match the tickets. I have never been asked to show who I was, what I was, or where I am on a domestic flight.
Right.
But international, on every occasion, they match your passport or other, depending on where you're going. Let's say you're going to Mexico or Bermuda, we'll say, they take a voter registration card.
Right.
If you're going to go elsewhere, you got to have a visa and a passport and all that jazz.
Right.
But they always match the name up.
So in other words, you would have to get the ticket reissued in another name, and you're up against that 50% penalty.
Well, it seems so to me, yeah. On international.
Sir?
On international.
Right, on international.
But not on domestic.
Right.
Because I've never been asked my name. Now, when you fly first class, as I do usually, they know your name because you walk in and they're going to get you drunk. Mr. Williams, would you like a drink before we take off and all that kind of stuff. Those are the little perks that they throw you in the front of the airplane. God knows you're paying enough money for it. But so that's why they know your name there. You know, they'll take your name off the ticket and they keep track of who the first class customers are. It's a little extra perk. But in the back of the plane, I've never had them ask me who I was. Nobody ever looks at the ticket.
Sure. Yeah. On domestic.
Domestic.
Yeah.
International? No. I want to know that it could be changed into my name.
Yeah, and you're probably going to have to if what the airline does it, they're going to stick you that 50% penalty.
That may or may not be the case, but I would not buy a ticket international that was not issued in my name.
Okay.
Because you're going to run into problems. Or I think you're courting problems.
What about the bonus coupons for international travel?
That's a little different matter. Those can be worked out.
Okay, so you wouldn't run into the same problems by
bonus. Because and again, the airlines don't like it very much, but take a look at the Wall Street Journal on any given day, and you'll see all kinds of ads for coupon exchanges in there.
Right.
For bonus coupons, and they are largely international. It doesn't really pay to get dealing with those things domestically.
Sure.
Unless you're going to go, say, New York, Hawaii, or some of that nature. It just doesn't pay to look into it, to the upgrades and so on and so forth, but that's largely international operations, so apparently they get to buy it there.
Yeah.
But you're talking about an issued ticket with a name written in there.
Right.
And when you walk up to the counter, it's not going to match. They're going to hassle you, I think.
Yep. Okay.
Take good care.
Appreciate it.
Nantucket, Massachusetts. Hello there.
Greetings. I'm calling about a contract that I have with a builder contract to build a basic 2-bedroom, 2-bath house. I signed in with him in December 1984, and he promised the house in about 3 or 4 months. And we've lost the summer of 85, the summer of 86, and the chances are he's not going to get this simple house done. And I wonder what my options are before I go into litigation, which I understand from talking with people here that it would take several months. It could drag on for a couple of years.
Well, first of all, has anything happened? Has the house been started?
Well, the house is rather tight, and he has more than 90% of the money, and not even 50% of the house is done.
How did you let that happen?
Well, because I'm foolish, because I got sweet-talked into the money, and I wasn't always there to see the progress he made. And I understand he's been doing this with some other people, and his reputation is not the very best, and I seem to be the one where I'm urging him on. And he's a very nice man, and he keeps saying, yes, it'll be done. Just
he's not a very nice man. He's a very good con man.
Exactly. That's what people have said. They called him a number of things.
Do you have a decent lawyer? Do you have a decent lawyer?
Well,
That's a yes or a no. Do you have a decent... No, there's lots of lawyers around. They're like common as fleas on dogs.
Right, and many of them will not take this, especially here, take this case, and
Why? Why won't they take this case?
Because it seems to be very commonplace, and the chances of winning it doesn't seem to be too good. You'd have to go to trial.
I don't think that's the answer. I think probably the answer is he doesn't have the assets.
No, they're dispensed with, and I'm wondering what my options are. To get his contractor's license revoked from Boston doesn't make sense because the house isn't built. To put a lien on his house doesn't make any sense either because you have to get a judgment.
Well, of course you have to get a judgment. Look, you're caught between a rock and a hard spot.
Yeah.
Let's start with that premise. You made a serious error of judgment.
Right.
So let's start with that premise. So you're going to have to make the best of a lot of lousy decisions.
Right. Yes.
And the best, in my opinion, at this point, is to give the guy 5 days. 5 days only, and then you go to court and hire somebody else to do the rest of the work. And hope that maybe someday you see some of your dough.
But that's the thing is, if I keep urging him on, he keeps promising and promising.
But honey, how old are you?
I'm in my late 30s.
All right. Married, single, what?
I'm just divorced.
All right, fine. Well, then you've had a bad romance in your life, right?
Yeah.
Well, this guy's giving you a bad romance.
Right, yeah.
And he keeps conning you, and you keep wanting to be conned.
Yeah, it's like the dying patient with one last,
Yeah, you'll try anything.
Yeah.
The patient's dead.
But if I go into litigation, it means I'll be spending $5,000 or $10,000 or more $1,000, which doesn't get me the house built, so I might as well...
What did I get through telling you? If it were me, I would go out and hire somebody else to finish the house.
Right. Wouldn't he come back, though, and put a mechanic's lien on? Wouldn't I have to get him out of the contract or release him from the contract?
That's a legal question, and I don't know the answer to that. You're telling me he's got 90% of your dough. It's unlikely.
Yes, and not even 50% of the house is done.
It's highly unlikely he's going to come back with a mechanic's lien. But I would talk to my attorney about that. But if you're asking me what I would do, I would give him 5 days. And I know, and only because the 5 days is a perfunctory thing.
To do something. Well, he's always promising.
Well, I don't care what he's promising.
To do what in 5 days?
To get on the job and specifically give me a timetable as to when it will be finished.
Yeah.
And in no more than 30 days.
Yeah. And if he doesn't do it,
I'd hire another contractor and I'd take him to court and hope he got a shot.
All right. Taking to court is going to be long and tedious and costly.
But honey, you've already blown away 2 years.
Yeah. Right.
The guy's blowing in your ear and you're loving it.
Yeah,
I'm not done. Honest to Pete, I'm not unsympathetic with you.
Yes. Well,
what I'm telling you is that you've got a con artist working on you, and you're allowing yourself to be conned, and that kind of hurts me.
All right. Yeah.
And it hurts you.
Yeah, I'm glad your good advice is to do this because this is my last recourse.
You're going to have to.
And it's going to be a costly thing.
It's going to be painful. It's going to be costly.
Oh.
But hey, you went through a divorce. That wasn't much fun either, was it?
No.
But sooner, and there had to be some ambivalence someplace along the way, was there not? But finally you said, look, I got to do it. And you did get the job done, right?
Right.
This is no different.
So then he needs a letter from a lawyer to inform him of...
Absolutely. Tell him exactly what you're going to do and then do it.
Right, and then just go ahead and get someone else to finish it, and then sue him for damages.
Absolutely so.
Yeah.
Absolutely so.
Right, not let him off the hook.
No, ma'am.
No, because he's been doing this with so many people.
Well, it sounds like this is his standard procedure. I wouldn't want to go with it.
Right. So I'm going to be the one then to take him through his Waterloo.
I hope so.
Well, thank you very much.
Hang in there.
I appreciate your advice. Bye-bye.
Listen, don't be dissuaded. You go get him.
Thank you.
Okay.
I shall try. Bye.
I'm Bruce Williams. Stick around for more. We go from down east to out west. Portland, Oregon. Your turn on Talknet. Hello there.
Hello.
Hi.
I need to get some advice on how to handle a company or a department store in the area.
All right.
I went shopping the other day, and I put something on my major credit card at the end of shopping.
Mm-hmm.
And I was with friends and one thing and another, and I did not notice that my name and charge number did not come up on the plate.
You mean when they pulled the thing through the machine, it didn't print properly, you mean?
Right.
Okay. That does happen.
Yeah, I know it's happened. They contacted me and asked me to provide them with the numbers of my major credit card.
Okay.
and I told them I really did not want to do this over the phone.
Why?
Well, I'm just kind of leery about that. I told them to go ahead and provide me with a Xerox copy of things and to mail it to me, and that I would do it that way.
Well, okay. I mean, I'm on the other side of this. I had people at stores that I own do exactly what they did. Didn't print properly, and just call up and get their full credit card number, and I never had anybody say no.
Okay, well, I had no problem providing it to them, but I just want, I didn't know that this had really happened. What's to say they weren't trying to charge me for something twice?
Well, suppose they did, so what?
Well,
no, they can't collect it, so what difference does it make?
Well, anyway, I got the thing in the mail from them, and I provided them with my numbers, and I mailed it back in a self-addressed envelope. And then they kept calling me, a matter of 2 or 3 weeks went by, and they kept calling me at my office and wanting to know when I was going to send it back. I told them I did, and I asked them to not contact me at my place of work because my employer did not like this.
All right, that's reasonable.
To keep going through my home. And they keep saying that I'm not sending it back. I finally told them to send me another copy. How many times do I have to give them my card number?
I think they're being sloppy, no question about that.
Well,
but wouldn't it be? I mean, the department store can't be on the other side of the world. Wouldn't it be easier just to drop by, give an imprint, and let it get over with?
They've never indicated that that's a possibility.
It's not only a possibility. It's the easy way to handle it.
Okay.
Just drop by and give them an imprint. I mean, look, you're not dealing with road scholars, obviously. And it could be the thing that got lost in the mail or probably got lost in their processing somewhere. But let me tell you, this is not worth getting an ulcer over.
Well, it's just a little annoying knowing that I paid for something and they keep calling me at work. When are you going to send it? I keep telling them I did send it. If you didn't get it, send me another one.
Well, you see, it'd be so much simpler to say, here's my numbers.
Okay, I'll do that then.
Really?
Okay.
There's nothing that's going to happen to you.
Okay.
If there's a charge that's improper, you put it in contest.
Okay.
It's just not a big deal.
All right, then I'll go ahead and stop by sometime when I'm in the neighborhood.
You can stop by or even just give it to them on a telephone as they requested.
Okay, that'd be fine.
Honestly, and you're out from under. You see, this happens so regularly. The clerk puts the thing in, doesn't bear down hard enough on that little slide job, that doesn't print, and they can't get paid. And you can understand why they want to get paid for the merchandise.
Of course.
I mean, as I said, maybe I'm overly sympathetic from the merchant's point of view because I've had it happen so many times to us, where the young lady waiting on somebody just doesn't push down hard enough. And we've never had anybody say no, happily, at least to the best of my knowledge.
Well, I've been willing to give it to them, but I was just wondering how many times I actually have to before I can just forget it.
You can't forget it.
Okay.
You really can't. But it sounds to me like they're a little bit sloppy. I'll give you that.
Okay. Thank you very much for your time.
Hang in there.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Sims, Montana, your turn.
Hi, Bruce. I'm calling to ask your advice on how to unload a house. Let me give you some background.
I know in parts of Montana, the real estate market is something less than robust.
Well, that's true, but this house happens to be in Omaha.
No, it's there, too.
Yeah, that's true. I moved out to Montana about 1.5 years ago, and I left a condo that I owned. I had some renters that moved in, and they have since moved out. For 8 months of the past year, I have been paying the payment myself.
Without a tenant?
With everything included, I'm paying $600 a month, which is half of my bring-home pay.
Is there no chance of renting the thing?
Well, I just moved some renters in, but they're only going to be there until May. It's just a short term. And I'm wondering if I'm going to try to sell the house again after they move out in May. If within a couple months, again, we go through this where it doesn't sell, do I have any options of trying to get the bank to take it back without...
Not really. You can ask, but they aren't going to do it.
See, I put $10,000 down on it.
How much do you owe on it right now?
$39,000.
Or you owe $40,000 round numbers. How much are you asking for it?
Well, at the end of the last sale trial, I was down to $49,000, which is what I paid for it. I started at $51,500, but...
Well, you have to lower it again.
Yeah, I know, but I'm already going to lose $5,000 of my original $10,000.
I understand that, but the problem is, if you allow it to be foreclosed upon, the scenario is going to go like this. You will allow it to be foreclosed, even a voluntary foreclosure. They, meaning the lender, will have an auction sale, and they'll advertise it in the appropriate newspapers and all that kind of stuff, and then people will bid. Now, whatever the shortfall is, and that includes the cost of the sale, guess who has to pay that?
Me.
That's right. And almost invariably, there's always the exception, but almost invariably, the sale price will be far less than you could have sold it for on the open and independent market. Now, if 49.9 is not the number, maybe it's 45, or it's 41 plus whatever the real estate person will take as a commission in terms of expenses and so forth to get you out. And you're going to lose your 10 grand.
I know.
You're also going to lose the money that you threw in there.
Yes,
now,
lots of thousands of dollars.
Now, it may well be that you can recapture some of that in terms of a tax loss because this did become a business property when you were renting it. I don't want to play tax person because Lord knows that's entirely too complicated for someone like me.
And me also.
But that's what you hire accountants for. And you want to keep careful records with regard to that.
Yes, I've been keeping real careful records of expenses and anything that's come up. So.
But the only other alternative, and it's one that I would explore if I were you, is to try and find what your carrying charges. How much a month? $600. Round numbers.
That's with it's a condominium. There's a fee.
Yeah, I know the condo fees. What? It's not possible to rent it for that much money?
Well, I'm renting it for $5.25 right now.
Well,
for these 4 months.
It might be if you start doing the arithmetic. I've only got a couple of minutes now. It may well be if you could get $5.25, $5.50, you could hang in there and you're paying a $1,000 subsidy, part of which the government's going to help you with in the negative cash flow. If the market has any kind of rebounding, and I think it will sooner or later, you may well be ahead of the game and do it that route. At least I would explore that possibility. But by all means, don't let it go into foreclosure. You're really going to get burned. I do wish you well. I'm Bruce Wiggins. This is Talk.
Hello, Bruce.
Hi, how are you?
I'm okay. I'm calling about a problem my husband is having. Right now he's a supervisor of a CNC machining department in a fairly large factory.
What does CNC stand for?
Computerized numerical control.
Oh, boy. You have to have a degree to understand the title.
Well, no, not really.
Okay, go ahead.
And within the next year, chances are pretty good the place is going to be closing down.
You mean just gone history?
Yeah, well, they've built another plant in Georgia. And it's just been going down there lately, all their business. And for the last 6 months, he's been trying to find another job as an actual machinist instead of a supervisor.
And why does he want to do that?
Well, he's been a supervisor for 6 years now, and I tell you, it's aged him 15 years.
Oh, boy.
It's really rough. On him, anyway. He must not be cut out for it or something.
Yeah, some people are natural bosses and some aren't. I understand that.
Okay, well, he sent resumes and called just about every machine shop in the area. And no one wants to hire him as a machinist anymore.
Why?
I don't know. The only thing I can figure is that it's because he's been a supervisor. And that's what I was calling to ask you. Is there an unwritten law in the business world somewhere that says once you've been in management, you can't go back?
None that I'm aware of. But the other part of the equation is how many machinists are they hiring in Toledo, Ohio right now?
Yeah, it's slow right now. Yeah, that's true. He's been to...
I mean, what they laughingly and not very kindly refer to as the Rust Belt, and you're part of that.
Yeah.
There are many of those types of jobs. There are many more people that want them than there are jobs to be filled.
Yeah, this is true.
Now, he doesn't want to move with the company, I take it.
They're not offering anybody the chance to move.
Is that right?
Yeah. Only the vice president went down.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that for union reasons or what?
I have a feeling it is. They have a fairly strong union up here, and there isn't one down there.
Well, they're not going to import union people, and you can believe that.
Yeah.
Well, where does it leave you if he wants to go? Yeah, he's a couple of choices. Now, I don't know. I couldn't tell you what part of the country you'd find a demand for machinists right now. I just don't know. But how old is your husband?
32.
Well, he's a young guy. Is there some? Let's take the worst case scenario.
Okay.
No machinist job. Now what?
I don't know.
Well, I mean, would he like to? Never mind what he'd like to. He's got to support you. Do you have any squirrels?
No.
Okay. I mean, he has some responsibility. He's got to support somebody.
Yeah.
What would he or could he be trained to do? What is his background?
Machinist.
Well, aside from that, he went to high school, I assume.
Machining. That's it.
That's it.
In high school, yeah, he went to a vocational school, had 2 years of training as a machinist.
And that's it.
That's it.
He may need some additional training.
Yeah. Well,
Is he adverse to that?
no.
Well, if I were in his position, given the circumstances you described, then may I assume, or I shouldn't assume, would you be collectively willing to move someplace else to do something else?
Yes. There's no problem there, really.
Well, I'd be taking a look at other opportunities and other vocations and other types of training. First thing I'd do is take an inventory of what he's able to do, and then see what you can build on that. But I think there are a lot of people who are going to have to do that. A lot of the heavy industrial jobs just cease to exist.
Yeah, I know. He enjoys woodworking. He's good at that, but where does that take you?
Well, it depends. I have a friend who has taken him very well. He was an engineer, a graduate engineer. Also liked to do woodworking and make reproductions in furniture and whatever. And he opened up a small wood shop, which is a very big wood shop right now. And he was a bit older than your husband when he began this, and he was quote the same thing. They were laying off engineers, and went on his own. Didn't make his wife very happy, I must tell you. She liked that paycheck every 2 weeks. But I think he's doing okay, and more important, he's doing something he likes to do.
Yeah, that's the big thing.
Oh, if you paid $1 million a year and you hate what you do, you're underpaid. And I mean that sincerely.
Okay.
I would think he ought to start looking at other avenues, because I don't know that there's a whole lot of future in what he's doing, and certainly not in your part of the world.
What about computer programming? Is that still big, or is that going to go out?
Well, the interest, there's certainly, we are more and more computer oriented, but the market is becoming more and more, not saturated, is a bad term, but it's balancing out a lot more quickly. That's not exactly the hottest field in the world right now.
Okay.
I do wish you well.
Thank you.
Thanks for your call. I'm Bruce Williams. Stick around. This is Talknet.
Basically an investment. Okay, and
well, wait a minute. Let's back up.
Okay.
You said he's going to buy the house.
Right.
And then sell you the house.
Right, because I don't have enough money.
Wait, forget that part of it.
Okay.
Just let's take it one ingredient at a time. He's going to buy the house and then sell the house.
Right.
Other things being equal, it's an extra step. Let's assume that I'm the owner of the house now.
Okay.
The one you can't afford.
Right.
I want $1 for my house.
Okay.
I don't care where the dollar comes from. I want $1. We agreed?
Right.
All right. If I sell the house to Henry sells it to you, there are extra expenses involved doing it that way. I sell a house to you, Henry provides the mortgage just like he was a bank.
Okay.
You understand?
Right.
There's no reason to go through this step unless he is going to get a mortgage from some other source.
Okay, no, he's got the cash. So that.
In that case, there's no reason in the world to have it pass through his hands. It's going to cost you a whole bunch of money.
Okay, now the thing is, I'm sort of take care of his money for him too, and we're looking at tax advantages and/or.
Well, there's no tax advantage to him.
Right. So we're trying to find something where he will benefit and I will benefit.
Well, if you wanted him to benefit,
it's a strange situation.
Well, no, not really. If you wanted him to achieve some tax benefit, then he'd have to take ownership.
Okay. I inherited a house 6 years ago, which I presently live in.
All right.
This house needs to be remodeled from top to bottom. I know nothing about home renovation or home remodeling.
All right.
Now, what I want to know is, should I go through the trouble of finding a contractor and fixing up this house?
Or
I'm kind of getting cold feet about moving and finding another house because I really like the area, and I think you're familiar with the area in northern New Jersey.
Yes, Saddlebrook is a very prestigious community.
And what happens is the price of houses has gone crazy.
Well, crazy is a relative term. Today's crazy is tomorrow's bargain. All right, let's back up and kind of look at this thing.
Right.
You said you inherited the house, right?
Right.
All right. What's it worth as it stands right now?
Well, trying to be objective about it, no house in the area will go for less than $100,000.
All right. Now, what is this house you think going to go for?
Well, the minimum $100,000 because it absolutely needs every room in the house needs to be remodeled.
All right, fine. Now, how big a house is it?
It's a small Cape Cod, 2 bedrooms on the bottom, and essentially really a renovated attic, which could be made into 2 bedrooms, but it's very hot. It's that kind of an attic.
Well, air conditioning, insulation
Yeah.
will take care of that. Now, how large is your family?
Just myself.
All right. Is it adequate for your needs?
Yes.
All right. How much do you earn a year?
Approximately $30,000.
All right. Then the house is someplace, well, it's paid for because you inherited it.
Right.
But it's probably a little more expensive than you could ordinarily afford. Would you agree to that? If you had to go out and buy a $100,000 house, you'd have a tough time carrying a mortgage. It's 3.5 times your annual income.
Right.
Okay, but I'm just trying to put things in perspective. That's all. That's all. Now, if you were to do a top-to-bottom run, they said there's 2 bedrooms, living room, dining room, kitchen.
Just 2 bedrooms, bathroom, small living room, and a small kitchen.
How old is this house?
Approximately 40 years old.
All right. Is it is it made of drywall or lathing?
Well, I would say
Plaster and
it's the concrete foundation with essentially this mortarboard.
Okay, that's fine. That's cool. Now, when you say totally done over, it sounds to me, now correct me if I'm mistaken,
Yeah.
it sounds to me like we're talking basically cosmetic stuff.
Well, a roof, new roof.
All right, let's tick them off. A roof. Go. What else?
Okay. The portion of the house in which additions were made to the original house, they leaked, like where the garage was attached to the
All
house.
right, that's minor league stuff. Go ahead.
Okay. We've got a bathroom,
You need to renovate the bathroom.
whole thing.
Go ahead.
Kitchen.
You want to modernize it? Is that it?
It's got to be done.
Well, no, wait a minute. It doesn't have to be done. You want to modernize it. You want new appliances, new cabinets, that sort of thing?
Everything's on its last legs.
All right, go ahead. What else?
I would have to say, as I said, this mortarboard, plastic particle board.
What's happening to it?
It's terrible looking.
Well, is it looking? Yeah, but would a coat of paint take care of that?
Well, there's not any paint on it now. There's like wallpaper, and the wallpaper has to be taken down or something. Something has to be done to make it. I guess it would be cosmetic because it really looks terrible. I'm embarrassed to tell you the truth.
You're talking about cosmetics.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all easy stuff to correct and not expensive. You stick around and collect your thoughts, and let's see if we can put this deal together, shall we?
Okay.
I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. I'm chatting with Lydia in New Jersey. She's thinking about renovating a house, and we haven't even examined the alternative of selling the house and going someplace else, because I don't think that's going to be a viable alternative for a lot of reasons. Not the least of these is it costs money to sell and move and all that good stuff, and you like where you are. Fair enough?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you see, most of the things you've described to me, let's talk about it in order of expense. Now, either the roof or the kitchen is going to be your biggest expense.
Right.
Now, if the roof has to be replaced, it's got to be replaced. You get a couple, 3 roofers in there, and you have it checked out. It's going to go by the number of squares they have to put up there. All right? But it's not a big deal, and it doesn't require an expert. Let's bypass the kitchen because that is where you're going to need some design help and some, I would think. Bathroom, maybe into a secondary area where you might want to get some help, but there are any number of places one can go to see model bathrooms and what type of appliances you're going to want in the way of a vanity and water closets and new tubs and all that good stuff. And that can be done at spending an ocean of money, or it can be done relatively modestly, depending upon your pocketbook, and still be done very, very nicely, so you'll be comfortable. As to the drywall and whatever, I mean, you have nicks and dents and that kind of stuff. Spackle takes care of that right away. So we'd be amazed what you can do. I don't mean you would do, but a skilled technician can do with spackle and whatever. And then it's just a matter of maybe retaping, may not, and painting a joint. This is not heavy-duty money. All right? So we're going to work up a budget. Now, how much money can you legitimately afford to spend on renovations?
I would not want to go higher than $50,000.
What was the number?
50,000.
50?
Yes.
Oh, you're way high.
Wait.
You're way high. You could do it for less than half of that.
Really?
Absolutely. What you described, unless now, if you say, yeah, Bruce, but I want to put in $15,000 worth of cabinets in the kitchen, I am gonna recommend, that we're gonna commit you next week. But I mean, for $25,000, the things that you've described, you can go first class.
Right.
First class.
Because as I said to you, the area which I'm in is the house. What I did was I went on a couple of open houses, and what essentially I'll be getting is the same thing that I have right now if I sold the house.
I hear you. For a lot more money.
Yeah, around 20,000 more. So if I took 100 and then put the 50 onto it, it'd be 150 plus.
That's too much.
20.
Here's what you do. What do you do for a living?
I'm into real estate.
You're a real estate salesperson?
Yeah.
All right, fool. You ought to know real estate. But am I asking these questions about value?
I just started out.
Okay. Here's the thing. You have enough time that you could spend, first of all, visiting places that specialize in kitchens and baths. Let's separate this off, all right?
Yeah.
So you get a lot of ideas as to costs and whatever, and the cost of appliances, and there are certain accoutrements that you're going to want, all right? The roof, the only you do there is get some legitimate, and ask around, who are the good roofers in the area, and get some legitimate bids on what it's going to cost. That's pretty cut and dried. Then I would start backwards if I were you. I'd find out what it's going to cost to do the bedrooms with whatever it costs to paint them. And this is not a big deal. I think if you put $2,000 in your budget for all of that, you'd be heavy on the heavy end. And on a regular, just a plain bathroom with a new tub and a new water closet, and new sink, and all that sort of thing. I can't believe you couldn't do that for $3,500 to $4,000 and do it right. Let's say $5,000.
Yeah, that's the estimate.
Pardon?
That's the correct estimate.
Okay, so now we're up to $7,000, and the roof we're going to throw $3,500 in for the roof.
Yeah.
We're up to $10,500.
Right.
That leaves you round numbers $15,000 for one very, very fine kitchen.
Right.
And let me tell you, you can do it for a lot less. So I think $25,000 will be your outside budget, and I think you could probably bring in around $20,000, and you have a good time doing it.
Right. No, I'm getting cold feet, though.
Well, what are you getting cold feet about?
Because I figured I'd call you up, and like I said, you are my only mentor.
My goodness.
And I listened to you, and I said to myself, well, he's going to say, well, you're chicken, why don't you just move, and, don't be bothered with remodeling.
Well, I didn't say that. There's only one thing we didn't discuss that we ought to discuss. How well is the house insulated?
I would have to say pretty well.
Well, I'd find out when you're doing all this renovation.
Yeah.
Now would be the time to get it insulated as well.
Right. What type?
Well, it depends upon what the problem is, where the problem is.
Right.
If it's in the walls, you want to go in with some kind of a blown-in insulate, you're going to have to. Your choices are very limited.
Right.
If the attic isn't properly insulated, where you have exposed rafters, then you can go with a blanket, which is relatively inexpensive.
Right.
And easy to install.
Right. So you don't think I'm being having cold feet by not saying...
Nothing wrong with a cold tootsie once in a while. How old are you?
I'm 30.
Oh my goodness! This is a brand new experience for you.
Yeah, that's why I'm very scared.
Well, there's nothing wrong with being a little bit afraid. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't go ahead and do it.
Right. But the thing is, when you hear the stories, and you've heard them, a lot about how you get somebody, and they just have to ask me a couple of questions. They're going to know that I don't know that much about.
That may be, but let me leave you with a quick thought, okay?
Yeah.
You don't have to do anything precipitously. Nobody has put a cannon in your ear.
Right.
You can get estimates on it and say, I'll get back to you. You got to sign today or there's no deal, then you say, no deal.
Yeah.
And you compare them. Check their credentials. Ask for recommendations. I'd like to see some of your work because you got a nice thing going. If it doesn't get done today, tomorrow's okay.
Yeah.
You don't have any great deadline pushing at you.
Right.
Go get them.
Okay, thanks a lot, Bruce.
It's been a joy. You get back if you got a problem, okay?
Okay.
I'm Bruce Williams. Agree or disagree, we're so pleased you dropped by. This is Talknet. North Canton, Ohio. What's doing?
Hi, Bruce.
Hello there.
Yeah, I bought a '83 automobile.
Yeah.
I need some advice on it.
When you say a boy, did you buy it in '83 or is this a previously owned car?
This is a previously owned car. I bought it a year ago.
All right, fine.
Okay, 6 months down the road, it's a very expensive car. 6 months down the road, it ate the front tires.
All right, so how many miles?
Approximately 5,000.
Got a front end out of line.
So I took it in. I had new tires from a good dealer.
Yeah.
And realigned.
Caster, camber, the whole business, right?
Right.
How about the frame?
Well, that's what I'm coming to. 5,000 more miles down the road, it's eating the tires.
Well, wait a while. As soon as you start to see uneven tire wear, did you immediately go out and have it checked, or did you wait till the uneven tire wear was readily apparent?
It's just getting very apparent.
Well, you waited too long. Go ahead.
I took it, I checked it out with my son, and we find that the car has been in a very bad accident.
All right.
The frame is twisted down and to the right.
All right.
Okay, there's other problems with it, but I took it back to the dealer I bought it from.
Yep.
He acknowledged after a while that it had been in an accident.
Mm-hmm.
It had been on a straightener twice for the frame.
Yeah.
My son is in sort of a business like that, and he said that the only way it can be straightened is completely remove the front end.
Yeah, that's very possible.
We took it to another expert that has a $35,000 straightener.
Yeah.
And he checked it out, and he said it would run between $2,000 and $3,000 to get the car fixed.
Is that right? Just to have
we paid $1,000 over book price for it in the first place because it was the exact car we wanted.
Why would you pay $1,000 over a book without regard?
Well, because it had the leather interior we wanted. It had the digital entry system. It had the alarm system. It had everything.
All right.
And now I'm beginning to wonder, I'm not going to spend $2,000 or $3,000 of my own money to get the thing repaired.
Well, whose money are you going to spend?
Well, the dealer that originally sold it to me, according to the Better Business Bureau and a few other people I've talked to, is responsible for letting us know before we buy the car that it was wrecked.
Did they know that?
Did the dealer know?
Yeah, at the time.
Oh, absolutely. He had it on the straightener twice at another place.
Before he sold it, you mean?
Yes.
No, then you're alleging fraud.
Right. And the tags that identify the car on the door and things, they've been removed.
You talking about the registration number and so forth?
Yes.
Is that legal in your state?
No.
Because it certainly isn't in most.
And another thing, I did a title check on it, and there was a green title issued to it and then converted to a yellow title.
Well, it doesn't tell me anything. That's a local deal. What does that mean?
I'm not positive what it means. He says it means that Michigan runs a green title and Ohio runs a yellow title.
Well, so I don't know from yellow and green. That's a local matter, and I just can't comment on that.
Well, according to the other dealer here that I talked to that my son works for, green title is a salvage title.
I see. Well, again, it's a local thing. I don't know. Here's the thing: if you're alleging and not alleging, I guess you're saying the guy committed fraud, that's entirely possible. And if he is under obligation under your state's law to tell you that the car is in an accident, then by all means you very well may have something you can pursue legally. I would discuss with him the viability of him accepting that car on a trade on another car of your choice. Now, I know that's a second-class way to go, but it'd be a lot cleaner than having to go to court. Otherwise, it looks like, here we go again, if you can't negotiate, litigate it. Hey, thank you so much for the hour. It's been a joy. I'm Bruce Williams. This has been Talknet. Industrial strength unsuccessful. Sure.
In fact, you gave the impression that you were completely broke.
Well, I've been broke many times.
Okay. Well, here's my question.
No, so that's not true. I've been broke a couple of times, not many times.
Okay. What I'm curious about is how do you come back financially from a situation like that? Where do you get the capital? It would seem to me that it would be kind of difficult to go and get somebody to...
It's called work.
Okay, so you just sort of employed your way out of it? You got a job?
Employed or started some other enterprise or combination thereof? Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, a commission salesman's dumb. I'm a peddler by nature, all right?
Okay.
There's no way in the world you'll ever keep me from getting a job as a commission salesman because there's just too many jobs around that are willing to pay me if I can sell the product.
Right.
So something, you know, everything goes to hell and you lose it all. You got to start somewhere. You're never going to be a day younger.
Okay.
I mean, you know, it ain't easy, and I pray it never happens again. I don't want to do it again. I don't want to go out and prove that I can, you know, make $1 million at 75. I have no desire to do that. But I'll tell you this, if, as the insurance salesman would say, God forbid it should happen, you can bet I'll be in there kicking and scratching trying to do it again.
Yeah, and I know that you, even in failure, you learn a lot.
Oh, you learn a lot more than you do from success.
Right, and there are mistakes that you're going to avoid making. But I've seen this with other people that are very successful. They have been in a position where they had nothing. And, you know, I wondered if they, apparently they didn't finance themselves out of it.
Well, you know, you say you have nothing. That's not true.
But in a financial sense.
Well, yeah, but that's the least of it. I had lunch today with 3 executives, 3 very gifted executives, and we were talking about opportunities in this country and whatever. And I'm a little older than these 3 guys. These are all guys, I guess, in their early to mid-30s, I would guess.
Okay.
Right? And all have responsible positions in the broadcast industry, as it happens. And we were talking about opportunities, and I said, you know, from my perspective, there's just so much dough to be made in this business if you're willing to put yourself out and work and all that good stuff, aside from just being an air personality, you know?
Right.
And one guy said, yeah, but what about money? And I said, that's the least important commodity. There's always people out there that have money to invest if you have enough talent and can prove, I don't mean air talent in whatever you do, to prove that you can have a reasonable shot at making their money grow.
Okay.
There's just plenty of doctors and attorneys and dentists and real estate entrepreneurs and whatever that have extra cash. If you're prepared to show them how they can make it grow in a way that they could make grow themselves, and particularly if you get involved in what they laughingly call some of the glamour enterprises.
Okay.
That the money is the least important. The most important thing is the ability that you bring to the transaction. Now, I had a young fellow call the show here not too long ago. Now, he's looking to borrow all the money on a $40,000 restaurant. He's 23 years old. Now, he brings nothing to that marriage, does he? Now, that's going to be pretty tough. Any terms at all he can get would be great. Now, if he was 43 and had 20 years experience in running